Good evening, everybody. The clock in the back might be off slightly, but it is 6:30. So on behalf of this Planning Commission and myself, we'd like to welcome everybody for being here. This is the August 5, 2026 meeting of the Planning Commission. For those of you that are not familiar, we're a 7-member body. We're appointed by the Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees. And it's pursuant to the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act and the Planning Commission. We serve as a recommending body to the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Trustees has final approval and authority on matters involving site plan reviews, special land uses, and land use development. So tonight, we have 2 public hearings. One is the application for the Hamlet Open Space Preservation Residential Development, and then we have a site plan for the Mulberry Square condominiums. So an affirmative vote of at least 4 members is required for the Planning Commission to take action tonight. So we have 5 members here, so 4 out of the 5. And we hope this helps provide a better understanding of what you can expect at the meeting tonight, and we thank you for participating. So the first thing we'd like to do is, do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes from our July 2026 meeting?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that passes. And our first public hearing is a site plan regarding the hamlet of Bloomfield Manor.
Thank you.
We have our leader to make the presentation.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Shinecki. I am the Director of the Planning, Building, and Ordinance Department here at Bloomfield Township. What we have before you is an application on behalf of Hamlet of Bloomfield Manor, LLC. They are before the Planning Commission and Township. They have submitted an application seeking to develop 3 existing parcels located currently at 350 West Big Beaver Road. Highlighted on your screen here shows the existing parcels as they are currently configured. The proposed development consists of 3 parcels, totaling a total of 7.33 acres. The property is bordered on the east side by the City of Birmingham Manor's Nature Preserve, on the south and the west by single-family residential homes, and on the north of West Big Beaver Road with the City of Birmingham Springdale Park and Golf Course located beyond the roadway. Back in 2002, Bloomfield Township adopted essentially a PUD option within our ordinance to allow for an applicant to, under certain provisions, offer a application to the township for final acceptance and approval or consideration by the Township Board. The purpose back in 2002 was pursuant to the Public Act 177 of 2001, which at that time, townships were mandated to offer an open space preservation option within their ordinance. The result is a residential cluster development that keeps required 50% open space. The objective of the open space preservation are to cluster new homes on a portion of the land and then surround the homes built with permanently preserved open space without allowing more homes than to be allowed under traditional zoning. So the important part there is what I just read is in regards to not being able, they have to demonstrate as part of the requirement within the ordinance, the applicant is charged with demonstrating that they can develop the subject parcels in a configuration showing buildable envelopes. When I say a buildable envelope, that is the area in which a home could be constructed in a manner that it does show the required 40-foot front yard setback, 16 feet on both side yards, and 35 feet in the rear yard. But the applicant presented as what we consider their parallel plan. And again, the parallel plan is intended to demonstrate the density that would be permitted under traditional zoning. In this instance, the property is zoned R3 single-family residential. Within the R3 single-family residential, the minimum lot size for a new home site in that zoning district is 22,000 square feet, lot area with sewer, with a minimum of 130 feet lot width. So what the applicant has done is provided us with this parallel plan. On this parallel plan, they are showing a total of nine parcels. In my staff report, I highlighted that because the parallel plan requires that the plan shows lots that would not require any variances and would be permitted to be built by right. In conversations with the applicant towards the end of last week and also addressed within my staff report, I indicated that the parallel plan, that there's actually 2 parcels that are shown on the parallel plan in which they could not be developed by right, in the sense where they're showing that there's a natural feature encroachment that is located on the right side of that access drive in the cul-de-sac. So by means of us determining that those would not be buildable by right, they have, they've revised their parallel plan to show now less lots. But the less lots in their revised parallel plan. Whoop, I didn't include it, I thought I did. I don't have a copy of that, but I'm sure the applicant does. So the point of the matter is their parallel plan has been decreased from the amount of lots you're seeing on the screen, okay? So usually when we get an open space application, they're saying, okay, by law, we can construct 8 homes, but we're gonna construct 8 homes using a cluster. In this instance, they're demonstrating they can actually build, in my estimation, because again, I think there's 2 lots on here that are not buildable, that they could construct up to 7 lots, okay? Conventionally, under traditional zoning, okay? So I'm taking the 2 off there and saying that a parallel plan, and when I say built by right, that means within the classification of the minimum lot area required within the R3 district. So by using that density allotment, okay, the applicant is asked to, under the provisions of our ordinance, they are asked, under the open space conditions, they are to show their actual site plan. This is their proposed site plan showing a total of 7 parcels. 6, okay, I'm having a really hard time with numbers tonight. I apologize. They're totaling 6 lots. As you can see, the proposal shows 1 proposed curb cut to access from Manor Road into the currently vacant property, and then to terminate in a single road in a cul-de-sac configuration. I do want to note that currently there is a curb cut that is located to the very north of the site, and you can see it highlighted just to the north of that, the hatching area, that there is a curb cut that exists off Big Beaver Road. To be conscientious of any construction impacts or any disruption throughout the course of construction, the applicant has stated in their submittal that they are going to be directing construction traffic from the Big Beaver Road access until, which time that access drive would no longer be able to be used for the construction purposes. But that is their intention, is to mitigate any of the construction traffic by using that curb cut. So what you have highlighted on your screen in the hatched-in area demonstrates the required 50% area that is required to be preserved in perpetuity. And how do we do that? Well, we do that because in our ordinance, it requires that a conservation easement would have to be recorded, would have to be drafted and recorded, and that would be forever deemed as open space to preserve the surrounding areas. And the open space on the screen here is identified as that hatched-in area. So with that, the board this evening is being asked to consider, take public comment, to hear from the applicant, as well as make considerations of under what conditions that this consideration and application would be accepted and reviewed by the township board. So this is a little bit different in the sense where it's not your typical site plan application. What you have before you is a concept drawing that is essentially indicating how they choose to develop the property. It will ultimately be up to the determination of the township board if the parallel plan is acceptable, as well as if the proposed density and open space preservation requirements are met. Additionally, as part of this proposal, they will be extending a water line down Manor Road from Brookdale. That will be a direct bore underneath, underground, as to prevent any disruption or any tree removal, and hoping to preserve any disruptions along the way for that portion of the work. But with that, we do have shown on the site plan that is being proposed a total of the 6 lots, identifying that each lot can meet that required 22,000 square foot lot area with sewer with a minimum 130-foot lot. And also as well as showing the buildable envelopes, which shows that they can also meet the required setbacks. I do want to note that under the open space preservation plan, the 6 clustered homes, there are wetlands that are located on the site, specifically in the, if you're looking on the screen, forgive me for not, well, actually, there is a north arrow. So that would be to the northeast. There are Jeff Niswander Environmental. They did have an opportunity to go out and review and do a wetland verification. They did note that there's mitigation is noted for the proposed impacts to each of the wetlands, A1, B1, and B2. The township's wetland consultant, Niswander, provided a review of the parallel plan and open space plan in your letter, which is included in your packet dated June 25th, 2026. I do want to note that they did make a comment in their review noting that if there are any natural feature setbacks that were to encroach into a buildable envelope, that would be something that would require a variance. However, because they are seeking to reorganize their parallel plan, I now will have a parallel plan that is not going to show any encroachments in that natural feature setback. So that issue has been addressed through the new parallel plan that's been provided by the applicant. I do also want to say that this is only the first stop of this proposal. Because of impacts to wetlands, the township does have their own independent wetland permit that's required. So at this time, the applicant has put on notice that they need to submit a wetland board application. The wetland board and the wetland hearing will certainly have a more detailed information, and also hopefully there are some minor adjustments that need to be addressed from the latest Niswander report prior to that wetland board hearing. And I do want to say that as of last Thursday, I did receive an update correspondence from the applicant indicating how they choose to address the comments from Niswander. But that will still be something that will be forthcoming when it comes before the wetland board. I do want to note that as part of the requirement in open space preservation, there is to be a public access or an opportunity for people to utilize the property. Specifically, the ordinance states that it really is meant to be for the residents of the development. However, the applicant has and will be seeking to get a cross-access easement agreement to allow for the continuation of the use of the existing pathway that actually is located within their property, and that is part of what has previously been used as within the Birmingham, in the city of Birmingham, as part of their Manor Nature Preserve. So I do want to note there in the bottom right-hand corner of that slide, you can see that there is that pathway that extends to the south and then heads slightly towards the east of the site, and then that connects to the remaining pathway within that preserve. So I do want to note that the applicant has stated that they do intend to do that, so as to not interrupt and still to allow access for residents to utilize that. So that was something that certainly is not required by ordinance, but that is something that they have chosen to do as to have a less impact on the existing, usage of that open space. Again, under the open space preservation, this plan did go before our various departments and consultants for review. Highlighted on your screen, we do show the turn radii from the largest fire truck. Our fire marshal does review, and we do have to provide, the applicant does have to provide how our largest fire truck is able to safely access the homes within the development. That has been provided and stated within the July 29th memo. The fire department has no objections with the proposal. They note that their review of the site plan consisted of fire access, access, circulation, and emergency response, and they do not have any issues related to that. The fire department has no objections to the proposal. And then we also have a landscape plan that was provided by the applicant. The engineering, the review, this was reviewed by our landscape architect, Dual and Associates, and then you have a copy of their memo dated July 8th, 2026, talking about the tree removal and and requirement for a tree preservation permit, which would be required as part of the, if it was approved, that would be a requirement of the township. The applicant does have some tree removal and replacement that will be required, which is all indicated and highlighted within that, that July 8th, 2026 report from Dual. Additionally, Environmental and Engineering Services, our EESD, did review the plans July 15th, 2026. They had stated that they had some concerns regarding the way the design of the outlet of one of the stormwater runoff to discharge into a City of Birmingham storm outlet design. At this time, and the applicant can speak to this, they've been having conversations with the City of Birmingham's engineering department. They feel confident that, that Birmingham will work with them to allow for their stormwater to discharge. But however, being cross-jurisdictional, that is something that would be required. So I just want to make that very clear that that would be obviously a condition and a requirement, because the stormwater design as presented and as reviewed by both HRC as well as our internal engineering department note that the current design would also be conditioned on that availability for the City of Birmingham to allow that. So I do want to state that that would be something that would be required as part of the site plan if it were to go and get approved before the Township Board. Additionally, the applicant has provided some just sample elevations of a proposed design aesthetic that would be a part of the Bloomfield Manor, Hamlet of Bloomfield Manor development, just to show the general architecture, quality, design, scope of what they anticipate would be a style of home that would be provided within this development. So with that, you are being asked this evening to consider the parallel plan as well as the proposed plan, hear public comment, hear from the applicant. I can certainly answer any questions as well that you may have. And I also want to note that there are a list of 8 items that, if so, the Planning Commission were to entertain a motion this evening to forward this on for consideration by the Township Board. And I just want to review the 8 suggested conditions that have been provided within your packet. One would be compliance with the requirements of the township departments, compliance with the requirements of the township's wetland consultant, including approval by the township's wetland board prior to Township Board, compliance with the requirements of the township's landscape architect, compliance with the requirements of the township's traffic engineer. They also did provide a traffic study, and you can see within your staff report the result of the review of the traffic study. Compliance with all regulatory and legislative bodies, including local, state, and federal. So that will definitely encompass that city approval from Birmingham. Construction traffic being directed off Big Beaver to alleviate impacts to the adjacent neighborhood. A cross-access easement agreement for the shared utilization of an existing wood chip path between the subject site and the adjacent property owner. And lastly, submittal of a conservation easement to be reviewed by the township's attorney prior to the Township Board. And I do want to say that we do understand that there are some sensitive natural features on the site, and as part of that conservation easement language, we would intend that there would be appropriate marking and signage as to notify residents who will move into the development and anybody who may visit the development that those areas are preserved and should not be trespassed upon or walked across, because the goal is that we were intended to preserve that area. So it would be demarcated appropriately to preserve any impacts into the natural features setback. But there's no plans to develop in the wetland to directly impact a wetland permit in terms of for construction. But because we do have to deal with some mitigation based on our report from Niswander, and that will also, like I said, be addressed before the Wetland Board. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. I think if the developer or the representative have anything to add, we'd like to hear that before we deliberate.
Great,
And then after that, we'll open it up to the public as well.
thank you. Hi. You can speak at that one if you wouldn't mind.
All right.
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Howard Fingerroot. I am the managing partner of a company called Sylvan Crest Partners. We are the applicant to the hamlet. I just want to kind of introduce myself and the team I brought with me. I brought a team, so if there's any questions that you may have, I have Nikki Jeffries, who's the Director of Development for my company. Nikki's been with me for 10 years, and we've done developments in Michigan and Florida and Texas and all over, and she's the Director of Development there. I brought with me a gentleman named Matt Bush with Atwell. He's our civil engineer and planner. Atwell is a Michigan-based company, but they have 60 offices across the country. So it's a very strong engineering and planning company that we have here. And then I have our land use attorney, Alan Green from Dykema, should you have any questions regarding any legal aspects of it. Just by way of introduction, and then I'm going to bring Nikki up here and she can kind of walk through the program. But by way of introduction, I've been doing residential development in Southeast Michigan for close to 30 years old. For 30 years. I recognize you don't think I'm old enough, but I am. And pretty much I've done developments in all of the 5 counties in the Detroit MSA. I've done one other one in Bloomfield Township probably about 10 years ago or so, and it was also an open space plan. It was called Legacy Hills up on Squirrel Road just south of Long Lake next to the school there, Sacred Heart. So we've been through this process before. I just want to say just one thing, sort of the philosophy of what I've been doing and the philosophy of our company. And there's just a few things, right? We play by the rules. We try to understand the rule book, play by the rules. We talk to the municipalities. We come to an agreement. I say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then we do it. And by doing that, in that philosophy, I found when I come back, it works really well. And I've done multiple projects in multiple communities, again, over a few decades in town here, and we're very proud of the developments that we've done. A year ago, March, so we're coming up on a year and a half, we proposed this project, and we sat down with the staff, and I believe the township attorney was there, and the township supervisor was there, and we said, by the rule book, we believe we can do 9 lots, and the question is whether it's 8 or 9 lots, but we'll concede to 8 lots as a parallel plan. We can do 8 lots, and those lots would meet the ordinance, the R3 ordinance of the township. And they looked at us and they said, when you do it of this nature, we would like you to consider, or more than consider, we'd like you to do it in one of 3 ways. Either do it using the PUD ordinance that the township has, using the cluster ordinance that the township has, or using the open space ordinance. So we went back, and again, we're talking a year and a half ago, and we analyzed each of the ordinance, and we found that the one that really was only applicable to this property based on certain criteria was to use the open space. So we said, we're going to do this, and the open space requires, as Andrea said, to preserve 50% of the site in a natural state. And that's what we did also in Legacy Hills. 50% is preserved. And instead of doing 9 lots or 8 lots, whatever the maximum was, we looked at it and we said, we'll do 6 lots. We want to keep the lots at a certain size. You can build houses that are consistent with the neighborhood. So we reduced it from, we'll call it 8 to 6, and said, okay, we want to do open space, and we'll do 6 lots there, and we created this plan to do that. So that's kind of the history, and we've gone through a lot of reviews, engineering reviews, and wetland reviews, and traffic reviews, And I'm delighted now, after about a year and a half, that we're in front of you. I would say about 3 or 4 months ago, part of the process was to go to the design review board, where there were 3 members of the township board there, and we went through this, this project, and we got a unanimous vote to come and visit you tonight. So having said all that, I want to bring Nikki up here, and she can go through some of the details of it, which perhaps will help when the neighbors come up and if they have questions about specific things.
Thank you.
Do we have our presentation? The slides that I sent this morning? What? I have my computer too, if you,
Do you have thumb drive?
it's not on a thumb drive, no, but.
I didn't upload it onto this computer.
I can send you a link with that. That's what I sent this
Let's see
morning.
if I can get my email on here. Shoot, I'm sorry, I missed that. I didn't see it, and I thought I meant to text you about it. I wish you would have, because
It's going to be a condition.
Oh, okay.
If they say no, then this is all for nothing.
I
Shouldn't
get
we
my
get that
email.
first? Because we have no control over that.
What if I,
I mean, I can run downstairs and just send it, drop it into a file, sure.
You
One
feel
line, I'll go
confident?
downstairs and
what
drop it.
if, is there like a web browser on here? I could like send the link to myself and open
I
it
mean, I
up
thought all
email
that
or
stuff needed
something.
to be approved.
I don't know if I can get
Because we
on
have no
the-
control over that.
Well, that's why it's going to be a condition. It's a condition.
Yeah.
It's like any condition.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Sorry, she would text me. It's okay.
I was like thinking about it.
No, thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and get started? I'll go downstairs and I'll go on my computer and I'll drop it in the file folder. Just go ahead and get started. Make sure you send it to me right now. I'm gonna send me a fresh one right now. Okay.
Are you, I can't open
How do I
like
do it?
internet
Okay.
on here?
Here.
Like just a web browser?
Okay.
I just did it to my Gmail. Like, what if I log in my Gmail real quick and grab it off there?
Sorry.
Here. If I can remember the.
Do you have it?
Of course I can't.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it?
Yep, she's gonna put it on the thumb drive.
Okay, thanks. It wasn't wanting to open my email on here. Wait.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, board.
You got it?
Yep.
Like, will it go in there?
You feel safer now.
There we go.
Right here?
Yeah. Perfect. Now we just need it on the screen. There you go. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry, we had a quick technology issue, but I appreciate your patience. So I am Nikki Jeffries, as Howard mentioned. I'm just gonna click to the next slide here. Maybe?
Use the, point, the arrows on the,
Oh, here?
yeah.
See, on mine, it's, oh, hold on. Slideshow from beginning. It's weird. It's like not, because what it's showing on here is,
Let's see, why is it not showing up on the screen?
technology guy.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Oh, there you go. Oh.
Okay, now it's working. That's weird. Oh,
Okay.
I guess you just have to stare at it long enough.
So I'll just use the arrows, okay. Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
Howard kind of covered our first slide here, our first team slide, so I'll just go on to introduce the site. I'll try to be quick because Andrea talked about it a lot already. The site is 7.3 acres. It's 3 existing lots from an old plat called Bloomfield Manor, located north of Manor Road, south of Big Beaver, basically at the southwest corner of Big Beaver and Adams Road. We have the Manor Park, the City of Birmingham Manor Park on our eastern side, the railroad just beyond that, and then a rehab facility beyond that, Big Beaver to our north with the golf course, and then single family really to our west and south. And directly to our south on Shepherd Bush are some homes that are actually within the City of Birmingham. The master plan, future land use for this property is single-family residential. The existing zoning, as we mentioned, as Andrea mentioned, is R3 residential, and we are proposing to do an open space preservation plan here. As both Howard and Andrea talked about, we have been looking at this for over a year and a half. We actually came to the city, or I'm sorry, the township back in late 2024. We met with the supervisor and the planner. I think Andrea and Patty was here at that time, and township attorney was there as well to talk through a site plan for this site. At that time, we came in with these 8 lots that met the R3 zoning, which is the 22,000 square foot lots, 130 foot wide. There was no dedicated open space. I think everybody in the township level really thought we needed to look at one of the cluster options that Howard mentioned. There's 3 of them in the zoning ordinance: the PUD, which is a planned unit development, the residential cluster option, or the open space preservation. And after we looked to them and looked through the ordinance, we realized that the open space preservation made most sense here because of the fact that there are neighboring properties that we would like to buffer. There's existing natural features such as the wetlands that we've talked about, and I'll talk about more, the wooded areas, which are really all over the site, but really focused on the eastern side and towards that existing nature preserve park. So we felt the open space plan really made a lot of sense for this project, to build residential but try to buffer kind of the existing lots and the existing uses nearby. So as we mentioned a few times, we had to come up with a parallel plan. How many lots can be built on this property? The one Andrea showed was our original 9-lot plan. There's been a little bit of change with the wetlands over the last few months as we have worked with the township consultant Nicewander, our consultant at Atwell. So the 9-lot parallel plan was changed to 8 very recently, so that's why there was some confusion. I apologize about that. This is the parallel plan. All of these 8 lots meet the R3 zoning requirements, the 22,000 square feet lots, but we don't have any wetlands or natural feature setbacks that are within the building envelopes. So there was a little jiggering around from that 9-lot plan. So the 8 lots is what we could build here, per current ordinance, per the current zoning. So as Howard mentioned, we wanted to keep a larger lot size without going smaller to fit the 8 lots. So we came up with this plan. This is the 6-lot plan that we've been looking at. The open space requirement of 50% is being met. All of that is shown in the hatched area. So all of that hatched area is not part of any lot. It will be placed in a conservation easement for perpetuity, so it can't be built on in the future. We intend to keep the existing trees that are there now, and in some cases, there are not trees, so we will be adding trees before we place the conservation easement. As you can see, the lots are still a good size. They're minimum of 18,000 square feet. They range from 18,000 to 20,500. So they're a little bit smaller than the normal R3 lot, but the trade-off is that we get this 50% open space, which is 3.65 acres. We have these natural buffers all around the site on all sides, and we are not touching wetlands. We are keeping a lot of the wooded area and really hopefully providing neighbors a view of trees rather than new houses. So if I move to the next slide here, this is the colored site plan. It gives you a little bit better idea of what this might look like once it's built. The 6 lots on 7.33 acres, so our density is about 0.8 units an acre. Over 3.5 acres of open space that will be dedicated in a conservation easement, never built on. We're going to keep the existing trees within the open space and then add additional landscaping where we can. Specifically around lot 6 down there, which is in the lower left-hand side. That is a pretty open area right now. It's the one spot on the site, on the existing site that's not really wooded. So there's going to be some additional beefed up landscaping going in there, which you can see on this plan, to help buffer both the street and the neighbor that's directly to our east there. To our west. So this does call out the distances from our proposed building envelopes to the neighbors. There's 2 neighboring houses there directly to our west, and then there are a few houses, looks like 6 there, directly to our south, that are in the city of Birmingham. So we really focused on providing buffers from these houses and figuring out a way to give extra room between the nearest house to them and where they might be, where their sightlines might be. So we really looked at that, as well as providing open space and not touching those trees on the east side towards the park, and helping to preserve that existing park, the wetlands that are in there, as well as the trailway that's used. You can see on here in the brown. So we, as Andrea mentioned, we're going to give a cross-access easement to the city of Birmingham so that trail can remain. It kind of runs along our eastern property line, and then there's other access points that continue to the east into the city's park. Just talk quickly about utilities and how these lots are going to be served. We're proposing a cul-de-sac, a curb cut off of Manor Road on the north side there. It's right at the intersection of Warwick and Manor. We're gonna put in a 28 wide asphalt road with curb and gutter. It's gonna be a private road with the cul-de-sac, as you can see. There is no water main in this area of the Manor Road homes right now. It's approximately 1,500 feet to the west at the intersection of Manor and Brookdale. So we are going to directional drill a water main down Manor Road to this new cul-de-sac, and then the water main will run up, as you can see here in the blue, run up the cul-de-sac. 3 hydrants will be installed along Manor Road, which will also provide fire protection for the homes that are there as well, the existing homes, and then obviously there will be hydrants that will be installed on the new cul-de-sac. Sanitary sewer connection is going to be at the northwest corner of the site. There is a sewer that was put in years ago under Big Beaver there, so we'll tie in at an existing manhole up there that's on our property. The sanitary sewer here is shown in orange. It will run kind of south and east and avoid existing trees that are on the site, and then cut down the road where the individual homes will tie in via lead. Storm sewer is shown in green, will run down the road or up the road if you're looking at it this way. And then we'll tie into a new proposed detention pond that's at the north side of the site that you can see there. That detention pond will then outlet, there's been a little change to the plans in the last week. We're trying to avoid wetland and stream impact. There is a small stream on the northeast side of our site that ties into the wetlands. So and that's where the site drains naturally now. So the plan is we will outlet the detention pond to an upland area that's not in the stream, so we won't have impact to the stream as far as construction. And then that will outlet into the stream, which then makes its way to the City of Birmingham storm sewer that Andrea mentioned. We have submitted the storm outlet plans to the City of Birmingham. Their engineering department has reviewed them. We received one comment letter, which we've already addressed, and we're expecting to hear back from them soon. As of today, this property drains that way, and so post-detention, we will have 40% less flow going that way because of the detention pond. So the city engineer is not expecting any issues, but we do have to go through the process, and we do understand that will be a condition of any possible approval we do receive from the township tonight or in the future. So that's kind of the plan for the stormwater outlet. Again, it's an existing storm sewer that's taking drainage from this property as of now. It will continue, the plan is to continue to take drainage from this property, but in a post-detention state, so that there will be actually less flow going there than there is now. And finally, the walking trail that we've mentioned, it runs along our eastern property line. That will be maintained, or will remain. We're not planning to touch it as part of any construction we are doing, and we will provide cross-access easement to the city. Landscape plan, this is just a colored up version of the landscape plan that's in the plan set you guys already have. We do have to take some trees down, as you can imagine, for the road and a few of the utilities. Those trees that come down, we do have to replace per the township requirements, and we will plan to, we want to replace as many as we can on site. Obviously, because of all the wooded area that's going to remain, there's probably going to be, or we know there is going to be a deficiency, so we will then pay into the township tree fund for any trees that we are deficient on. We really want as many trees to remain as possible on the site that makes sense. Obviously, if there's a dead tree or something, we will take it down. But we want, at the start of construction, typically all the trees that are to come down are marked. The thought is that we will go out there with landscape architect, anyone from the township that's interested, any neighbors that are interested, and make sure we can save any tree that we possibly can. The plan is also to not take down the trees on the lots until the time that the lots are developed. So there will be some of those trees that will remain at the time of site construction that will eventually come down during the home construction. So just want to explain that because we talked about it a little bit at the neighborhood meeting. This is an entry rendering showing the kind of the entryway just north of the homes on Shepherd Bush that are directly to our south in City of Birmingham. As you can see, the back those are trees that remain. There is a lot of trees there. I was out there last week. We plan to enhance that. A lot of the trees that are going in the buffer areas are 14-foot pines, so they will be 14 foot at planting and then obviously grow in 4 to 5 years. You can see that lower view of what it's going to look like. We did originally have a monument sign on here, which when we were at design review board, we talked about a little bit. Since then, we've removed it from the plans because that was something that the nearby residents did not want. So that is why there is no sign on here now. Because that's a little bit different than what you guys saw before. As Andrea showed, these are conceptual ideas of homes. These are going to be, 4 to 5,000 square foot custom homes that builders will buy a lot and build on, or a person can buy a lot and build on. So we expect that they will be very nice. We expect that there will be architectural standards as part of our condo docs that they will have to adhere to and be reviewed before any homes are built. This is just, I'm not going to read the entire slide here, but I did want to bring up that we did hold a meeting with the neighbors. Was back in May. There was quite a few residents showed up, and I know a lot of them are here tonight as well. The Bloomfield Manor HOA president organized it, and so there was many people from the Bloomfield Manor HOA, but there was multiple people from Birmingham that live on Shepherd Bush and nearby as well. We answered a lot of questions. We tried to listen to all of their concerns. This is kind of a high-level view of some things that were brought up at the meeting. I'll run through them quickly because I know they're probably going to be brought up here at our public hearing shortly. Traffic was something we talked about. There's concern about, understandably, both traffic generated from our development and traffic generated from construction. Overall, the traffic from our development is going to be very minor with 6 homes. We did have a traffic study completed that's been reviewed by your traffic consultants. It's resulting in a less than 1% increase in traffic on Big Beaver and Adams. And they conclude there's no significant traffic impact. And the change in traffic would be, or not be discernible. 7 trips on average AM peak hour and 9 trips on average in the PM peak hour. So it's relatively little traffic that's going to be added to the existing roads. Construction traffic is something that we agree can be difficult to deal with, and that's why we came up with the idea to use the Big Beaver entrance, the curb cut that exists today. So that's been added to our plans. That is our plan. We can add signage, et cetera, on that driveway once we get to, if we get to construction. So that would be the plan, that during construction, all construction traffic would have to use Big Beaver. We're fine if the cul-de-sac needs to be barricaded off, but at some point, once we have a C of O, it would need to be usable. We talked about the construction timeline, landscaping sequencing. The residents, want the proposed landscaping to be planted as soon as possible, which we understand. We plan to do that, but obviously grading and utility work would need to be completed first, and then we would do the plantings. Other than the street trees, which would go in at time of home construction, but all the other buffer trees that can go in as soon as site work is complete. The tree preservation, that was a topic as well. Obviously, they want the open space and the natural buffer, so we want to work with the township, the residents, and we want to save as many trees as possible, like I mentioned. And we'll be planning to save all the trees that are within the open space. The water main installation, generally, I think people like the idea, or some like the idea of a new water main running down the road, but are concerned about construction, understandably. That's why we're planning to directionally drill the water main to really reduce the impact for everybody. And we will maintain traffic on Manor Road while that's happening. So that should be generally not a horrible construction experience. We're not gonna rip up the road, that it will be drilled. So that should be generally a small construction window to get that done. And then 3 hydrants will be installed along the Manor Road frontage. That would be, available for fire protection. I kind of touched on the monument signage. That was something that was brought up, that they prefer no monument signs, so we have taken it from the plans. And no street lighting is being proposed, but that was a question. Architectural control, I already talked about. We're going to have architectural requirements incorporated into the condo bylaws. We do have to create a homeowners association for this new project by state law. I do understand that this property is in the Bloomfield Manor HOA, or could be, and if desired by the HOA, they can still pay into the Bloomfield Manor HOA as well, but they will have a separate HOA for this new hamlet project. And lastly, an item which I'm sure is going to be brought up again tonight is that there is as part of that old 110-year-old plat, there is a deed restriction. We feel for the most part that we're meeting it, but we're building single-family homes on the lots. We're increasing the lots, which I do understand. The township doesn't enforce private deed restrictions, and our property is zoned R3, which would allow 8 lots on the property, and we're building 6. So we do have our attorney here. I expect this is going to be brought up more, and we can talk more about that as we get through the meeting. I think that's it for me right now, so I will. I'm happy to if that's what you prefer.
To have the attorney speak first, the HOA?
Sure.
That might be,
Sure.
that might help
Yep.
during public comment.
Alan, I'd like you to speak first about the deed restriction.
Oh, really?
Before the public comment.
I think it'd be helpful before the public comment. Might answer some questions that the board hears.
Thank you. I'm Alan Green. I'm also a resident of the township, so I live a couple miles away. It was not my purpose to provide a legal opinion with regard to the deed restriction, but I can say a few things about it because it came up. So I've looked at it, and you know, it's an interesting situation that you have. It's a 110-year-old plat, and when this plat was done, there wasn't any zoning, there wasn't a railroad, there wasn't any utilities, and the deed restriction wanted to make sure that these were single-family lots. So it talks about, you know, a single house on a single-family lot. And since that time, there's been a huge amount of change that's gone on here. The deed restriction does not have any specific limitation on the size of the lots. And if you look through the neighborhood, the lots are of varying size. These particular parcels or lots are some of the largest ones. And then actually they were made larger because one of the main roads in the subdivision was vacated some years ago. I mean, the road that went right by this property was vacated, creating larger lots. The park that's now a public park of the city of Birmingham is part of this plat. Those were single-family residential lots. There are 3 residential lots in this subdivision that are now was assisted living facility, but it's really a medical facility today that we talked about. There are another 3 lots in the subdivision that are there's a condominium project, and there's 8 condominiums and 2 buildings. So there's been a lot of material changes to this development. Most of the deed restriction litigation that I've been involved in or seen usually involves claims that these changes are so sufficient that we could now put in a non-residential use. If you look at the vast majority of the law in Michigan, the cases that come to the court, not all of them, but a lot of them, is where people are trying to put in an office building on residential property, and they want to do it because they say that the uses have changed sufficiently enough that we no longer have to follow this. Must be in the township. Red Square Lake on Telegraph. There was a massive lawsuit years ago involving those homes that are now built right on Telegraph. Those are the last lots of a subdivision that was in the interior there. And they had litigation trying to argue that we should be able to put an office building there because Telegraph's unsafe, everything's changed, it's widened, and oh, by the way, there was an office use approved. It turned out in the case, I reread this case recently, that the office use was somebody built a home and then used it for some kind of home office or changed it to home office. That was the office use that they were using. But that's the kind of case that we're talking about here. So we have a situation where there's been material changes, but no one's trying to say we're not going to do the residential use. So these are single-family residential lots. There's nothing that says you can't subdivide or split a lot. I can't remember the lot number, but there is one lot that was split into 2. It was actually one of the smallest lots in the subdivision, was split into 2, and now you have 2 homes on that. So I don't think that the restrictive covenant really applies in this sense to bar what we're doing. We're building single-family homes on single-family condominium units. And for those who actually do development or know that, no one does plats anymore. I mean, I think it's been 20 years since I've been involved in a plat. Everything is a site condo. That's just the way we call them, so we call them units. And that's how development occurs today. And I guess the last thing I would say is that, again, we think this development is fully compatible with the plat, with the houses that are in the neighborhood, with the lot sizes in the neighborhood. We're not violating the 110-year-old restrictive covenants. But I do want to say that it's really not for the township to enforce that. I mean, to be fair. I mean, that's something for us to discuss. And there's case law to that effect. I mean, it's a private restrictive covenant, and there's one case on this. You know, I'm a lawyer, so I like to talk cases. There's one case on this involving Shelby Township. Someone sued Shelby, I think it was Shelby Township, because they said, you approved a PUD, but it violated our private restrictions. The court threw out the case and said, no, not only does the township have no obligation to enforce private restrictions, it actually has no authority to do so. It's not even within your zoning authority to do that. And in this particular case, this is your lowest density residential classification. We are complying fully with the zoning on the property. In fact, going beyond that with the cluster option. The cluster option was something, I was part of those meetings. It was actually requested by the township. Why don't you consider doing something like this? We really want to preserve the trees. We really want you to connect some of this beautiful property to the existing park and make it bigger and more contiguous. And so that's what we did. So I think we're really proud of what we did, and hopefully the neighbors will ultimately love it. But I don't know if you have any questions more about any of that.
Just
I was
one
babbling a
question,
little
since
bit.
you mentioned that the property obviously is being developed as a site condo and the 8 units, and we'll get into the general common area later, because I have some questions
Right.
on that. But had you gone ahead with, I know you had to do a parallel plan to demonstrate the number of lots that could be built, right?
Yes.
If that parallel plan were to be implemented, would it be a platted subdivision, or would it also have been a site condo?
We were proposing a site condo.
Okay.
So again, a lot of people, I talk to friends of mine that know nothing about the condos or residential. Site condos today look like, at least certain site condos, look like single-family developments. They're just like, these homes are custom homes, they're not gonna look the same. People think about a condominium, they think about the same home, you know, unit after unit. That is a kind of condominium, but literally, it's got to be at least 20 years. Everybody does site condos. So if you see a brand-new subdivision, it looks like a subdivision. Every house looks different. They're all individual lots with builders. They are all site condos today. I haven't seen a new development that's not a site condo. It's just the organization. That way you have a homeowners association, a condo association. You know, it's just an easier, different, and more comprehensive regulatory scheme to be able to do it. But that's why when you saw the pictures here of the homes, these are all, that's what we're saying. I mean, anybody can buy a home and they design their own home. They have to submit it to a board to make sure it meets the criteria for materials, quality, whatever it is for this subdivision. These are going to be very expensive homes, but they'll all be different. It's not like they're the same. Does that explain, I think, what
Oh,
you're asking?
absolutely. I'm
Oh, okay.
familiar. I describe it as nothing but a form of ownership.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and a way to organize the utilities, too.
Yes.
So I had a question that's germane to this point.
Okay.
Allow me to interrupt. You may answer it, or Andrea may answer it. So there's 2 parcels. Are you combining the parcels and then performing, what is the question in relationship to the establishment of the site condo? There's 2 parcels. Are they making that?
Three.
I can answer that.
Yeah, thank you.
I can answer that.
3
So-
parcels? My mistake.
So, some years ago, it might now be 30 years ago, a Michigan court held that you did not have to replat, amend a plat, change a plat to put a site condo over it. So no one does anything. All you have to do is record the condo, and that now
Establishes the boundary.
establishes it. You don't,
So
so,
there's no combination and then resplit.
right,
You just
right.
blanket it over the development.
Right. So when people like redevelop property, like, you know, these older areas, and they redevelop, like if you're doing a whole subdivision in certain areas, particularly older communities, not here. I mean, you could have, sometimes you have these old plats, 13 different plats, and they're all mixed up. You don't have to do anything with those. You don't have to vacate them. You just record the condo over it, and,
Yeah, let me clarify
Yeah.
my question, because I heard
Okay.
somebody in the audience say something.
okay.
There's 3 lots designated, but there's 2 parcels.
Yes. Don't ask me. I have not looked into why that is.
Well, at some point, somebody co-joined the tax
And there,
IDs.
yeah, and there was, as I said, these parcels were abutting the main road that
Yeah.
went into the development. That was vacated some time ago by 7 property owners I saw, I think it was 7. I have no idea what caused that, why that happened. But then part of that property went to the park, because it's the Birmingham Park, and part of that property went to these parcels.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Appreciate it, thank you.
Well, if there's any discussion by the board, we could have that, and then we could open it to the public. Okay.
Well,
He's got something.
do all of the utility improvements occur within the township's property? Is the water line
That's township, but I.
and the sanitary?
They're connecting, the sanitary, if I remember correctly, Nikki said that it's gonna be connecting to an existing manhole that's on their property that goes to the storm drain. Okay, yeah, Nikki could,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's all the, oh, here.
You have to plug your presentation in. I think it's actually.
Oh, it's fine.
Was
I
it
think
in, was it in PowerPoint?
The sanitary is completely on our property, Bloomfield Township.
Yes.
The water main is going to the west as well, that's down at Brookdale and
Yes.
Manor Road. And we're not doing any work off of our property for the stormwater outlet, but it will ultimately flow to the Birmingham storm sewer, so
Got it.
that's why we have to get the permit, but we don't need like an easement, because we don't have to do work on their property,
That was
but the
my
flow
question.
will go there.
Was there an easement? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you-
But the water's already flowing there now.
The water's
anyway.
flowing there now through this stream.
And-
It goes stream into the storm sewer, so we're still planning for the water to go in this stream, which is on our property. But then it eventually makes its way to the city storm sewer, so that's why we need their approval.
And the water that's going to flow there after the development is going to be less than it is today, I heard you say.
You listened, yeah.
Because it's detained.
It's like six CFS, 6.5 CFS that's going there now, undetained, and after this, I think it's like 4 something, so it's like a 40-some% reduction in flow to their sewer system.
Okay.
Because of the detention. Can you go to the graphic that showed the wetlands and the development?
Can you show the site plan that has the wetlands on it? Yeah.
Well, it was one Nikki went through. It
Oh.
had, okay, that's good enough right
Yeah.
there. So that's showing it, right?
That's the parallel plan.
But
Go
you
to
can see
go
the
to
wetlands there, yeah.
Go to the developed plan, the sixth lot. You had made a statement that showed the wetlands, that none of the new boundaries of the lots impacted or crossed over into any of the wetland designations. This was not the graphic, I think it was
It was the one that you did?
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
was
was
probably the other
definitely
one, which we just pulled out. There is no wetlands with any within any of our lots. There is 2 lots, I believe I'm sorry, I can't even see even with my glasses. I think it's 1 and 3 where the natural feature setback
Yes.
goes into the back of our lot.
Okay, that's
But
what I
it's
thought.
not within the buildable area. So those buildable areas are what's shown in brown here.
Yes.
So the natural feature setback goes into a little bit of their backyard. It's a very tiny amount, but not within the building envelopes. So we are not planning for our site work to touch any of the natural feature setback. and in the future, if when the homes are built, they won't be touching any natural feature setback. It will be essentially in their yard, a tiny piece of their yard.
That clarified it, thank you.
Okay.
I was going to ask this later, but since you came up again, I might as well ask the question now. So you made the statement that obviously you want to save as many trees as possible, so does the township, so do the neighbors. But you said that all trees in the open space that's hatched out on these plans are to be preserved. I mean, are you sure you want to say that? Because that would mean all the grades in that area can't be changed.
Well-
Is that actually the case?
We're not planning to change grades in those areas, are we, Matt? We're not. Yeah, it's not, we're not planning to grade anything over there.
But that's 50% of the property,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
going to build,
The only thing I will say is that we may want to take down a old dead tree that's in there, but we will.
I don't think our ordinance covers, if a tree is dead, it's not even subject to preservation.
The tree
as far as I
preservation.
know.
Right,
It's
so
written today.
that's going to happen. Now, there are, as you can see, over on specifically on the west side of the site, that around lot 6 right now is, if you drive out there, is like a cleared area. There's like a tree in the middle of it, but that's the one area that's not very wooded right now. So we're proposing, as you can see on this plan, quite a few new trees along the west and south property line there. So there will be some work done in there to plant those trees, but that's
I
it.
get that, but I just didn't want you to make a statement that that's the desire, but it can't be implemented because the grade might be manipulated. So if you're sure that the grade is not going to change, then the statement that the trees are going to remain, makes sense to me, but it
Okay.
doesn't make sense to me if the grade changes. And I like the fact that you're not going to take the trees out where the homes go until there's a home to be built. And the reason is, maybe some rich guy wants to buy 2 lots,
Yeah,
and he wanted those trees, or he or she, and if they were gone, they're gone, so.
well, they're custom homes, so they may want to leave a tree. I mean, this is the max size of those homes on the brown boxes here.
But
If there's a tree in there that they may want to save, they don't have to build that full size. So, yeah, we are planning on those trees as necessary coming down as the homes are
So I
built.
think we'd like to open it up to the public now, and I think you just have to state your name and address and speak on the matter, and then also there's a 3-minute limit, so I don't know who's going to be in charge
Griffin's
of
gonna
it.
do the minutes.
So if anybody from the public would like to speak, please
Right up here.
approach and.
I'm the president of the homeowners association. I'm only going to get 3 minutes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, first of all,
Name.
I would like to state that my name is John Stratton. I'm the president of the homeowners association, which this property is part of. Okay, so it's not a separate piece of property. It's part of our property. There is a deed restriction that's been put on this property, and I know you don't have authorization to comply with it or not, but I'm gonna quote from the deed restriction. It says, "Each of these lots shall be used for strictly residential purposes only, and no building except single dwelling houses and necessary outbuildings shall be erected or moved onto these lots." And that was signed by a judge in Oakland County. Okay? Existing lots, and all the existing lots, there's three existing lots, that's 3 houses. Okay? Second of all, I've polled all our homeowners in the homeowners association that we have here, and we've only had one that found that this property was acceptable to building on this site here. So we don't have a lot of people in our homeowners association that's really wanting this property, mainly because we want the 3 houses, which we're more than happy to have put on. Also, if we looked at the updated plat or guide for here, they're talking 18,000 square foot lots, not 22,000 square foot, which is an R3 requirement based on the zoning board that I saw. And a couple of the lots don't even meet the 130 feet wide frontage part that is required. So, I'm not even sure why some of this is even being brought to you, because it doesn't even meet your own restrictions on, for the homeowners. There's also a lot of concern about the water pipe that's gonna be brought in down Manor Lane. Now, there was no soil samples taken on Manor Lane, but if you look on Manor Lane, there's a lot of erosion going into the river, and they're planning on putting that water pipe right there. So when they start digging that water pipe, they're already having an erosion problem now. When they start digging that, I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot of erosion going into that river. And that's gonna be something that's gonna be a real problem for new homeowners if you guys would like to do it. But it's gonna be a problem for everybody on Manor from the, just from the restriction of the water. If we looked at, I've looked at a number of the documents for the township, and they ask for the homeowners association to have approval on a lot of these things. It doesn't seem to me that they're willing to do anything that their homeowners really want to do. The comments that were mentioned up there were really only comments based on their proposal, not what they wanted. I guess my time's up, but that's what I have.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Donna Fiji, and I am a resident of 1277 Harrow Circle. My husband and I have lived there for 25 years. I proudly paid my taxes to the city and have invested in this community because it's a very unique character. It seems like only yesterday that many of us stood before the board regarding the very same property. Same property, same problems, same issues. And the board made the right decision by denying the request lot splits because it did not conform to the character of our neighborhood. Today, I respectfully ask that you reach the same conclusion. Our neighborhood is made up of custom, single-family homes on large wooded lots that are somewhere over 100 years old now, and they're beautiful, and it fits the neighborhood. And we have a very rare rural up north atmosphere that everybody likes, but they want to destroy it when they come in with developments. But the neighborhood is what attracted us. The proposed 6-home development, as I understand, requires lot splits, which will open up Pandora's box if you allow this to happen. Call it a condo, call it what you want, but it will destroy the neighborhood. A mini condo does not blend with the existing development. There's no meaningful benefit to the neighborhood. They're going to tear up Manor Road. Do you understand? That's our main way in and out. It's gonna be horrible, mud. It's gonna be terrible. And that mud is gonna go down into the Rouge River, which will impact the wildlife. Also, the erosion. My husband and I had put thousands of dollars in due to increased development upstream that increased the water flow and eroded our bank and is impacting our property. We had to put in $40,000 to help save our riverbank. I'm also deeply concerned about not only the river, but just the infrastructure that you're proposing. During construction, it's going to take 3 years or more to build these homes, and the developer doesn't come in, he's setting up the land, and he's gone. Who's going to control this? You know darn well that the contractors are not going to use Big Beaver. They're going to come through the neighborhood. And our old Manor Road and that little bridge can't handle the concrete trucks, the other trucks that are going to be, and just the sheer amount of traffic. I know my time is running out here too, but once the character of our neighborhood is lost, it cannot be rebuilt. So again, I respectfully ask the board to preserve our neighborhood and deny this request for the lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kate Eisenstein. I live at 240 Harrow Circle. I've lived there for over 30 years. And I agree with everything my neighbor just said. My principal concern is straightforward. The township previously considered development on this property and determined that no more than 5 houses could be developed. So the whole purpose, and this was brought up by Andrea, that the open space plan cannot exceed what would be allowed under a standard development. The township previously considered this matter and said we consider 5 to be acceptable. It went up to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and they said that the Bloomfield Township decision was appropriate, that they gave it due consideration, and that the township had the discretion to make that ruling. So what has changed? Nothing's changed. It's a new developer who wants to make money off of this piece of property, tear down all the trees, because I know they're saying they're not gonna tear down all the trees. They're gonna tear down all the trees. One of you asked the question about grading, and they said, we're not gonna tear down all the trees, we're gonna leave the natural features. I don't know if all of you have walked the property. The property isn't flat. They're gonna have to do grading. There is variations in the elevations in this property towards the wetlands that I believe are getting short shrift here as well. The wetland and the Bloomfield Manor Park, they are beautiful. They're beautiful. And once they come in, all of those trees will be gone. They will have to level things. There will be disruption, and it'll all be gone. It'll all be gone. So I guess my concern here is what has changed. I don't understand how we can proceed with this when the township previously said 5. They're asking for 6 and saying, but we're doing you a big favor by not asking for 9. But it doesn't look like they even qualify for 9 or 8 or 7. I don't understand. And I guess that's the question that I have for you. I ask you to answer these questions before you proceed, because once you give them approval, it's all done. It's just a rote process. They don't have approvals from Birmingham. They don't have all these pieces in place. We understand that they have been backdoor negotiations last week. Why is this being rushed? It needs to be given due consideration, and we need, as the neighborhood, an explanation for what has changed and why 6 is even being considered. And then there's the deed restriction. The deed restriction is not a nothing. It isn't. I live on an acre lot. My neighbors have an acre or 2 acres lots. What about all those neighbors? Can they all split their lots, or is it just big developers? Who gets to decide? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mitch Swayze. My wife Carol and I live on 225 Harold Circle. This will be right behind our home. It is a unique neighborhood. They're calling it a hamlet. That's no accident. It is a hamlet, or it was a hamlet until this happens. The character of this neighborhood is going to be turned upside down. They mentioned, Nikki, I think, said this is an old plat. It's not an old plat, it's the existing plat. She would like it to be the old plat, but it isn't. This is the rules that we operate under. That access to the north on Big Beaver, that's intriguing, but what are you gonna have? You're gonna have big trucks, what, taking a left onto Big Beaver? Has anyone tried to take a left onto Big Beaver up Brickdale? You almost can't unless you're willing to risk your life. They're gonna have big equipment making a left. Think about that, that's a 2-lane road. It's a major road for commuting traffic. You're gonna jam that up. They can really only take a left, because if they take a right, they're gonna run right into that low bridge. So tell me a cement truck's gonna take a left or take a right. They're not gonna do it. So you got a real problem, a safety issue, traffic issue. Contractors in their pickup trucks are gonna come through the neighborhood. They always do. We've seen homes built, it takes years. They always do. And for what it's worth, because we're a hamlet, we have lots of walkers, bikes, dog walkers, young families in strollers. We don't have sidewalks, and these contractors are always 20 minutes late, and they always go fast, and they take lefts without looking to see who's there. We've seen near accidents over and over and over, and it's always these contractors. They're gonna be coming through our neighborhood, and people are gonna get hurt. I would point out too, that these restrictions have been in place for 110 years. Howard knew that when he bought. He's just looking to flip these things. He's not building, we know that. He's gonna prep them, flip them, and he's out. And we're left with what? So I would look at Howard and say, you knew this, you're trying to force this issue, you're trying to bend the rules, and you've got all your attorneys, great. We're just standing here saying, what about us? And it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for us, not just during these years of construction, but once they've robbed us of our hamlet, great, they're gone. We're stuck with it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marty Bernstein. I live at 1277 Harold Circle. Donna's my wife. And I wanted to just give a little history. I think 12 years ago or something like that, Sun Communities came in, bought the same property, came here and proposed this lot split into 8 homes, and we're doing this dance again. My thoughts are that there hasn't been a lot split in the neighborhood for around 100 years. And that every lot in Bloomfield Manor and Supervisor's Plat number 5, I guess, we're known as river folk because the river goes right through my property. We're at the corner of Brookdale and Manor on the south side of on Manor. And every lot, about 1.3, 1.25 acres, and our lot's a double acre, it's 2.6. Again, we have the Rouge River goes through the middle. But splitting the original 3 lots into 6 lots will set a precedent in the neighborhood where the township will not be able to stop anyone that wants to split lots. As mentioned, every lot is pretty large, and I have 2.6 acres. Why wouldn't I split up my property? So if this is approved, we will not be able to recognize, I mean, other people will do it. Once it starts, you've opened up precedents. Anyone can do it. You'll not be able to stop it. And therefore, 10, 15 years from now, you'll not be able to recognize this neighborhood. It'll look completely different. Additionally, being on the south side of Manor at Brookdale, the hydrant where you're going to be tapped into is on my property. Well, there's an easement, so it's kind of right there. But and the storm drain is just outside of that area, and our properties, the elevation is kind of at the bottom of from the top of Manor, or Manor where Warwick is, comes straight downhill and goes through that storm, and then goes through the Rouge River, and it floods every 2-3 times a year. My entire backyard is flooded, and I don't understand how it could possibly be less when they put their development in there. So I am very concerned about that. And then ripping up Manor from Brookdale or further all the way up to Warwick will be a nightmare for us, because that's, again, the only northern ingress and egress that we have in and out of the neighborhood. To go south on Woodward to come up through there, you can't turn right on into that neighborhood between 4 and 6. I don't have any idea how I get home other than going a mile out of my way. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kate Strumbus, and my husband and I live at 5570 Brookdale. So we're just up the street from the corner that this gentleman was talking about, and I will tell you that the home next to us, which is on the corner, has a retention pool, and that area regularly floods. I know that some work was done at the house that's across the street on Manor Road, but it's not a pretty picture when there are heavy rains. And so I'm a little concerned about when I heard that water drain would come down, even if it ties in. I've lived there since 2011, and it's always flooding, even when they do work. So I'm a little concerned about that. And I also heard that they were talking about possibly paving roads. We are on Big Beaver, and there's Woodward. And the only thing that keeps that from becoming a thoroughfare is the fact that it's a dirt road. A lot of people go there anyway. They throw their trash out, whatever they do. But that is the only thing that keeps this from becoming a thoroughfare that would be really a nightmare for any residents living in that neighborhood. And finally, I just want to point out that there's property across the street from us that a developer bought several years back and had a Saturday evening special of a tree crew coming in and taking down a lot of trees. That property is now a single-family property, and they've been trying to market it for probably the last year because it is wetland. And I know that development happens, but the fact that we have deer and we have so many animals coming through our area and they have unrestricted access, there's so little of it left that I would just hate to see that all go away from them. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Eisenstein, 240 Harrow Circle. I've submitted my thoughts and comments by email, and you are probably receiving a lot of self-reinforcing reasons why people have some issues with the project. What I'd like to observe is that our community is one in which generations have come and gone. We moved there in 1992. You heard from my wife previously. We raised our children there. Our neighbors came in, raised children there. A generation also left, gone. Their properties were bought by some developers. And now they want to take a chunk of our community and make it a separate community, one that's not consistent with what generations of families like ours have found in Bloomfield Manor. And as I said in my email, when you look at how this is being posited, their responsibility, assuming they keep all their responsibilities that they claim they will, is gone once they leave. When individuals come to clear their lots to make a home, I don't see any way we can control what happens. Regardless, when we had the meeting with the developers, it was very clear that their point of view was that we really didn't matter, right? The deed restrictions don't matter. Our HOA doesn't matter. They've come with, as the new set of developers after the first set were turned down or ran into some headwinds, they took it over and they think they have now a statute that allows them to do essentially whatever they want to do, but they're graciously limiting themselves with this open preservation provision. That was the tone of the meeting. And so I came away from that not feeling that they really felt that we mattered at all, that our community mattered at all. And I think that generates a lot of the feeling amongst our community that the only principled stance we can take in looking at a development like this is to say that we oppose it in principle because it's not consistent with our community. I looked at the developers in that meeting and said, you have 3 big, beautiful lots. Why not develop 3 big, beautiful homes of the site you're showing, which would encroach quite a bit on the smaller lots that they have in this development. But I don't think that really matters to them. So with respect, I request that the board look at this proposal, ask some of the hard questions that my wife Kate asked you to ask, and in principle, see our side of this and why we oppose going forward with this kind of development in our community, which basically takes a hunk of our community away from us and the generations before us that have enjoyed this area. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Hello, I'm Christina Wagner at 58 Manor Road. I had purchased in the neighborhood roughly 14 years ago and live in one of the oldest homes in the neighborhood, and the whole reason we bought in the neighborhood is because of the character of the surrounding area. And I don't want to repeat all the sentiments that were spoken before me, but I 100% agree with every single statement that was made, as well as all the neighbors that we've discussed this issue with. So the one thing that I think hasn't been impressed upon prior to me that I want to make sure is really looked at and discussed is how this is being proposed as open space preservation. It already is preserved in the 3 lots that we have, with 3 homes allowed to be permitted on those 3 single-family lots. So being able to subdivide these lots and preserve some of the nature is in no way open space preservation. So I just want to make sure that that sentiment is clear because it is a beautiful property also, as was expressed prior to me. That the park is used by all the neighbors, having the dirt road. We do not want it paved for many reasons. Not to mention the character and utilities, flooding issues, there's a lot of them. Just want to make sure that, as you're considering this, that the open space preservation really, in my opinion, is a loophole for a developer to come in to try to make money. It is not preserving anything. It is not maintaining the integrity of our neighborhood. And the reason why all of our neighbors bought into this neighborhood, it is adding a subdivision, period. And that's not something that we bought into in the neighborhood, and it's not something that Bloomfield Township should permit.
My name is Kristen Croft. I live at 111 Manor Road. This is like such an upsetting topic for me. Anyone I've spoken to is not okay with this large development that's happening on this piece of land. I don't understand why they need to come in from Manor. Like, if they really wanted this little development, why don't you make your opening from Big Beaver? Why do you have to have it on Manor Road? Doesn't make any sense that there has to be access to Manor Road if this actual proposal goes through. Number two is that we spoke to a road commissioner who was so lackluster about paving our dirt road. That is why most of us, again, bought in this neighborhood, is that was so unique. You felt like you were up north when you're in the middle of Birmingham or Bloomfield. So that's another thing that made me sick to my stomach. The other thing is that I live at the bottom of Manor and Brookdale. Our yard floods in the 100-year rains that we're supposed to have happen multiple times a year. So my basement floods, even though we've had $25,000 waterproofing our basement. We've had sewage issues. I don't know if the infrastructure, I don't really quite understand which direction is this or that way, but I don't understand how there wouldn't be more water and waste into our system that would end up at the bottom of our street, which is my yard, and maybe up in my basement. So I would hope that we would do some really strong studies on the infrastructure, where that sewage really is going. Again, how could there be less water going to this? Why would Birmingham even want to take on their waste? Let's be honest. And I am part of the Birmingham Bloomfield Moms Group. I am the admin with 6,000 women in this community. I'm part of the Facebook Poppleton Park community. There are so many people who are speaking up against that. Now, do I know if anyone went to their keyboard and emailed you? I have no idea, but we've been petitioning against it. We're not happy with this, and I would hope that you guys would take in consideration of what the neighborhood wants and what our community as a whole wants, not what a developer wants to come in and make money on our land. All right, thank you.
My name is Leslie Whitworth. I actually am a Birmingham resident. I live at 663 Shepherd Bush Street, so I am one of the two houses that will be directly, I guess depending on where you're looking from, behind the development. I'm not against development. I love trees, but if I decide to build in Bloomfield, I'll have to cut down trees. I'm more concerned about safety and infrastructure, both the short-term concerns and long-term concerns that I have. When it comes to safety, our understanding, and I'm not sure if I'm quoting the developer correctly, was that the township decided that the entrance to the neighborhood could not be off of Big Beaver, that it wasn't his decision, that it was your guys' decision. And my question is, how is it not safe, if that was the case, how is it not safe for sedans and SUVs from the owners of the 6 homes to turn off of Big Beaver, but it's okay for large trucks hauling dirt, rocks, hauling cranes, bulldozers to make that turn? So I'm assuming that that wasn't the case and that it's just less desirable to a potential buyer to have their entrance to their neighborhood off of Big Beaver. The entrance instead is going to be at a very dangerous intersection. I submitted a photo of a crash. My neighbor Haley is here. The intersection of Warwick and Manor, somebody drove into her neighborhood, into her backyard. And there's a trailhead right there. I propose if this development goes forward that one house is removed from this plan and that the entrance to the neighborhood either goes off of Big Beaver or is moved over to the I think that would be the west, so it's not right at that very dangerous intersection that I really hope you guys drive down. My other concern is infrastructure. We flood, as many people do, and when you have less permeable land, you're gonna have more water streaming into Birmingham. I don't know of any stream in that area of the neighborhood that I can visibly see that goes into our drains. I know there's streams elsewhere, but I would love if they could just come up and show us maybe later where that is. The other thing is the trailhead I was speaking of, that's actually Birmingham property. It's a small sliver right behind 663 Shepherd Bush, and I'm not sure if they're showing it as part of Birmingham, so I wanted to mention that. I also submitted photos of our road, which is just, it is going to be a disaster, but I know you guys deal with this with a lot of developments, construction workers going up and down. But again, I'm not against development. If somebody buys property, pays money for it, they should be able to develop it. The reason I don't feel bad in this situation is that he bought it knowing very well that we were one step away from the US Supreme Court. The federal district court ruled in the township's favor, saying that 8 houses the previous owner wanted to build, that the township had discretion to say no. My time is up, but I just wanted to end with that and to say that I know he's using a condominium loophole to get around that, but he bought and paid money, should be able to develop the land, but he bought it knowing exactly what happened and is trying to use a loophole. So please consider the safety and infrastructure.
Hi, my name's Steve Rumpel. I live on Tottenham Road, also in Birmingham. I came to talk more about the park. I think the lawyer pointed out really well that land use changes over time, and it's not Birmingham's park anymore. It's Birmingham and Bloomfield's park. It has expanded all the way into Bloomfield, and they're planning to remove a large portion of the treed portion of the park. It's a very magical path to be on. It's very difficult to find anywhere in Birmingham or Bloomfield where you can go on a trail and feel like you're in the woods. Like you walk that path today, even though Big Beaver's right there, even though Adams Road is close and the railroad is close, you don't see any other houses. All you see are trees. And now they're gonna change it, and you're gonna walk along and see the back of people's houses. What's gonna keep them from building tennis courts or putting in pools or any other thing? And now when you walk that path, you're gonna go, oh, that's Bloomfield. That's the township that tears down parks so they can build developments. You know, we're in Birmingham over here, we've got all the trees, and there's Bloomfield with their developments that they love to have. So I just wanted to speak out on that and make sure that there is preservation of the park in mind. I think they can do some form of development, maybe have the 3 properties that have been talked about, but they can prevent encroaching into the existing park that's there today. So, thank you.
Hi, my name's Adam Croft. I live at 111 Manor Road. It's at the corner of Brookdale and Manor at the bottom. My wife spoke just a few minutes ago. We're the ones that have probably the worst water issues out of anybody. We've had multiple sewage backups, natural rainwater backups, our yard floods several times a year. It's a huge issue. So, you know, obviously I agree with everything that was said. But regardless what goes on, I would like to have like some open communication and understand like the water issue, right? I would love to understand like that water main and like what's really gonna be the impact and what's gonna happen. I would love to understand, is the road being paved or not? Because we were told by Bloomfield Township people that the road was gonna be paved from where the development starts all the way down to the bridge. And that if we wanted to, we had an opportunity to pave the rest of the road if we wanted to, which we all said we didn't want to. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is when Howard was showing the pictures of the homes, he said, you know, we're gonna keep them consistent with the neighborhood. And then followed up by saying, oh, and we're gonna take down the monument signage that we wanted to put up. Like, that alone shows how out of touch and inconsistent they are with the neighborhood. Monument signage for like their own little subdivision on Manor Road. Like the reason why people buy Manor Road is for all the reasons that people said. So I would just ask that you keep it to 3 homes. Let people build 3 magical, beautiful, huge homes and don't change anything, you know, for condo development. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Nicholas Giangrande. I reside at 1360 Oxford. I live right across the street from that house, or that, well, it used to be Carlton Sawyer. She was my neighbor. I've lived there for 25 years. Great place to live, real personable. You know, average lot size, 1.4 acre. You know, really gives you a feeling of open spaces, you walk around. It's only dirt, you know, no sidewalks, no street lights. Real comfortable. Well, we have these gentlemen here that want to change that. There's a swath of 3/4 mile by a half mile of people, residents here, some not, that are going to be affected by this. Well, some will be affected and they don't even know they will be, because we'll set a pattern here for this quote-unquote condo approach, which it's not harmonious with where we live. I mean, would you really want to do that to all the residents? To change and disrupt what they've worked for? A lot of these people, they go out on a limb with their finances to do what they've done. I mean, you know, you got to really commend them. Someone to put that much effort and work into their home. And they're extremely proud of it. And the other thing is, you know, they want to put 6 houses there. Okay, they have a hardship. I understand they don't want to go out to Big Beaver. Well, okay, leave 3 lots there, send the rest of the people our way. That's 3 lots times probably 4 cars. Well, they want 6 lots, right? And 4 cars per lot, per house, maybe 5. I don't know, short math, 25, 35 cars coming in and out of that one place every day. And that's the end of what happens. Before that, we're going to have to live through 5 to 10 years of development, because they show you pretty pictures of houses, but by no means is that realistic at all. It's just a guess. The way this is situated, I could see this being something that happens in series. One house, then another, then another. It's a lot of suffering. And we know this because our subdivision is heavily developed by the people that live there, right? And this is not that. This is not these people's wishes. And you should consider them and support them. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, I'm Jocelyn Giangrande. I am his better half at 1360 Oxford Road. I'm not going to be redundant and say anything because I agree 100% with my husband and also my other neighbors here and what they expressed. The only other thing I wanted to add, again, just to emphasize the character of where we live. I'm not sure if any of you have driven up Manor Road, and I mean, it is a park setting. We have people that come from other neighborhoods and communities to come through there. And this just feels like a major disruption, just to come down that dirt road, which is a very narrow dirt road with erosion on each side that always has to be repaired. And now we've had tons of construction trucks coming up and down there often with the development that has happened, and development happens. But when we're talking about this level of density, what we are getting ready to endure, which people may say is short-term, I don't think it is. Talking about driving that traffic up Manor Road, which now we have so much traffic now with people getting home deliveries, we got Amazon trucks, we have construction trucks, now we're gonna have residential cars, more cars coming down there, and there is a very dangerous intersection. I'm on that corner where the Birmingham neighbor that spoke about that intersection at Manor Road in Warwick, that is very dangerous, not only for cars getting ready to hit each other, because we live on that corner, but for people who are on bikes. We have children that are on bikes that go around that corner. We have, you know, people who walk, and we have residents of all different ages that walk up and down our neighborhood, which is beautiful because it is walkable. The other thing too is just the whole thought about water and drainage and flooding. Everyone has mentioned that, and I definitely want to make sure we emphasize that. I have no idea how this is going to be less impactful from water runoff. I can guarantee you my property floods, just about everyone over here's flood, and the flooding is increasing over the years. It's not decreasing. We have torrential rains, now we have all these impermeable surfaces, and my understanding is that they're planning on at least paving their private road. And again, now we have another hard surface, and now we have all these other homes. And the last thing I will say is just, again, this is not harmonious to our neighborhood. It is not part of the character, and they're not even trying to be part of the community. I mean, the meeting told us very up that we see ourselves as separate. We don't have to abide by your deed restrictions. We don't have to abide by any of the plats or any of those kind of things. And in fact, we're going to have our own HOA. We're going to have our own private road. We're going to have our own private monument sign to show that we are distinct. How is that being part of the neighborhood and the community? I don't really understand. So therefore, there is no consideration for the beauty that we have there. I mean, we are known as one of the most beautiful areas. And please, if you haven't walked down it, go walk down Manor Road and really think about what kind of impact this will have. Thank you.
My name is Jim Clark at 205 Harrow Circle. I've sort of prepared, I sent this to the, okay. Do you mind if I read it? Okay. My wife, our two sons, and I moved to Bloomfield Manor in 1985. I have lived here as long as, or perhaps longer, than anyone else in the neighborhood. Our connection to this area began even earlier. Just before our marriage, in the fall of 1974, our wedding photographer brought us to the bridge on Manor Road for photographs. We both fell in love with the area that day, although at the time we could not afford to live there. Nearly 10 years later, with two active boys and a need for a larger home, we remembered those photographs and returned to Bloomfield Hills, Bloomfield Manor. We discovered the house directly behind the bridge was for sale and bought it. It has been our home ever since. During my career, I traveled extensively throughout the world for more than 50 years. I've seen many beautiful places, but I have never found another that appeals to me more than Bloomfield Manor. This is a truly one-of-a-kind neighborhood. What makes it special is an extraordinary combination of towering trees, natural surroundings, quiet roads, the river, the abundant wildlife. We regularly see deer, wild turkeys, coyote, foxes, groundhogs, squirrels, hawks, and many other birds. A blue heron occasionally lands in the river behind our house. Huge wingspan, looks like a pterodactyl. Families walk these quiet roads, children play along the riverbanks and also fish, and residents walk their dogs and enjoy, residents and neighbors from Birmingham also, enjoy being surrounded by nature. It feels almost like living in a treehouse, remarkably peaceful, secluded, despite being close to Birmingham and major shopping, restaurants, and other amenities. It is precisely this character that concerns me about the proposed 6-home development. Manor Road is already a narrow, approximately 1.5 lane, unpaved dirt road with significant potholes. Traffic has increased substantially in recent years, particularly when Big Beaver Road becomes congested. We are already seeing more trucks and vehicles with trailers traveling the road, sometimes at considerable speed. I have reviewed the plans for the proposed development and am concerned that the Big Beaver Road entrance will not be practical for the larger trucks and equipment required to clear the heavily wooded property and construct 6 homes. If construction traffic instead uses Manor Road, residents could face years of heavy trucks, equipment, noise, dust, and additional traffic, along with potential damage to the road that is already difficult to maintain.
Are you pretty much done because the time is up?
I'm sorry.
We do have the letter. Yeah, we have the letter, but thank you.
Okay.
So we've seen it. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Haley Goodman, and I live at 633 Shepherd Bush. So my driveway will pretty much back up to, like, I think it was lot 1 or 6. And we have flooding almost 4 times a year. I've had my basement waterproofed. I'm also the house that a car ran through the backyard when me and my son were just by the fence, maybe 5 minutes prior. My husband is at the city almost every day because the roads are already terrible. I cannot imagine trucks that are massive that have already been driving through our neighborhood for almost, 2 years because of the road they've been doing. And now we have to picture it going through it all over again. And I am like pretty much the one that would be the most affected, in my opinion. I have pictures I can show you of when the crash happened. My driveway flooded. Also, when the sewers back up, it was almost 1 foot underwater. It just never ends, and I can't imagine that this would make anything any better, to be honest. But I do want to share the pictures with you guys, if that's okay, if I can walk up and show you.
Sure.
Okay. This is when the sewer backs up. This is what my driveway looks like. And that's the circle driveway, so the entire thing is underwater.
Can you brighten it, please?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, hold on. You can't even see the concrete anymore. Okay, this is when they crashed through my backyard, and it was because they were detouring people off of Brookdale, and the man was not familiar. And I've fought with the city to put a sign or a blinking light, and all they pretty much did was put an arrow instead. So this is when he drove through my backyard, and me and my baby were literally behind the fence, like minutes before. This is my driveway when it floods, when the sewer backs up, and we're literally fighting with the city almost every day to fix everything. And on top of it, this is what the road looks like that they will probably be driving down, and I cannot imagine that it can take any of the trucks. This is what the road looks like already. So I would strongly say to not go forward with it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elisa Stratton. I'm at 295 Harrow Circle. You heard my husband John speak earlier. We are fire survivors from California. When we moved to Michigan, we specifically chose this neighborhood because the trees are still there. We know what it's like to see a place lose character through destruction. Whether it's fire, whether it's tearing out the trees, you will never get it back. You can never replace those trees at those sizes in our lifetimes. You can never fix that wetlands back. You can't take it back to the way it is right now. These spaces are approved for 3 houses. Make 3 houses. With all due respect to Mr. Fingerroot, it is not the problem of our homeowners that he chose to make this property purchase when he knew that the previous owner had lost that lawsuit in a very high court, as you heard, in the state of Michigan. If you have not read that lawsuit, please do. The township won. The builder lost for good reason. There's a reason. Those judges know what they're doing. You can hear I'm really emotional about this. You have a chance to help keep this part of Michigan natural. A lot of places will sell out. Don't do it. We need it. We need the creatures. We need the water. We need that space for everyone. You can walk and enjoy Manor Park. Please come. It's gorgeous. We're not going to get it back if you screw this up. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I wish him well, but not at the expense of our town. Not at the expense of our neighborhood. This is not okay. Forgive me the emotion, but this is a big deal. Because if you start splitting lots, there it goes. You lose it. Oh, remember a long time ago, we had that beautiful neighborhood. Oh yeah, I was on the board that let him take that down, that let him destroy that. You don't want to be those people. This is important. It sets a tone for the whole township. It sets a tone for the county. It can set a tone, if you want it to, for the region, for Southeast Michigan. People can point to that group of people in Bloomfield Township who fought back and said, no, this is too important to sell. We're not going to do it for the price of 2 extra lots. That's all we're saying. Ideally, there would be nothing, but, you know, he's got 3 lots to mess with. Let him have 3 lots to build. 3. Don't mess with the deeds, they're over 100 years old. I don't care what anybody says, you're talking about putting a subdivision into an incredibly beautiful neighborhood. Please don't do it.
My name is Michael Whitworth. I live at 663 Shepherd Bush Street, just directly behind the development. And I'll keep it quick. It's not, again, I want to start by, I will say something positive. I'll commend the developer for coming up with a 100-foot natural zone. That's a step ahead of what the last developer proposed, and to cut down the lots. But again, if you guys walk this, you're going to see the wetlands, you're going to see the uneven, steep grades on this land and how it's going to have to be developed. And what's not lost on me is that the main interest to this is at Warwick Road in Birmingham, the paved area, and it's a continuation of that. And that's a very dangerous corner, and it's my opinion that the entrance should not be there. Either opt Big Beaver or move somewhere else for the safety of the neighborhood. And again, I think you guys have to keep in mind that what everyone said tonight is that you have a place called Bloomfield Manor. That's the character of this area. It's Bloomfield Township. It's not Sterling Heights. It's not Troy. What they're proposing is a subdivision that looks like Sterling Heights, that looks like Troy. So please keep that in mind. You guys have a unique, beautiful area, and keep it that way. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Karen Frederick, and I live at 617 Tottenham in Birmingham. I've lived there over 35 years. And I think you get a sense of our community, how strongly we feel about this. Bloomfield Township is a coveted community, not only in Michigan, but far broader than that. I hope that you will keep this incredible neighborhood, as special as it is. 3 homes could be built there, and that's all that it should be. I hope that you will deny this proposal, and thank you for listening to all of us. Good evening.
I don't see anybody else, so we'll close the public hearing. And open it up for discussion. Don?
Yeah, I recorded some questions from the residents that we'd like to ask both planning and the developer as well. They're welcome to respond to these, if that is okay.
I guess I'll,
Yeah, if that's okay.
I guess I'll defer to the chair. If you guys want to have discussion, let us know, but we did track questions, so whenever you're
Yeah.
ready for that.
Kind of similar to the last one we had.
I think we should hear the questions and then if any of them can be addressed. But I think I'd like to take a 5-minute break. Because I have a few questions myself, and if the ones that you have are different, then we can see if the consultants can discuss them, or if we want to have discussion on the board here.
Okay.
Good job, Captain.
Let us have a timer for 5 minutes for a 5-minute break.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just so you know. Coming in the morning, I'm like, I'm tired and I know why. You know, I would presume it wasn't really part of the discussion. I mean, this is really a separate application, separate.
Sanitary sewer?
There's a code.
It is to me. It's relevant.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. Thank you, everybody. And
I mean, I get your point.
we're calling the meeting back to order, and we heard many comments, and we thank everybody for your comments. And we want to discuss some of the specific questions that were brought up during the comments. They may or may not be able to be answered, but at least we could put them on the table.
All right, good evening, Board. Good evening to all of you. Be listing some of the questions that were asked by the residents. What was most frequently asked to start by a wide margin was how will water be mitigated to avoid damages and flooding to existing homes in the area?
So before we hear an answer to that, I just wanted to add a question to that. So I heard that many times, and it's one of my notes. And I don't know if we're specifically talking about sanitary sewer backups or stormwater. And I don't know if the system there is combined, or if we have, if the township has a separate sanitary sewer system in that neighborhood and a separate storm or no storm at all. So if we could get an answer on what water we're talking about, are we talking about where your toilets back up, or are we talking about storm water, and do we have a storm system there? And then how is this project going to add to or detract from that problem, to be more specific?
Okay, first, I don't know whether they have a joint sewer currently, and it could be different in Birmingham than in Bloomfield. Okay, that's a great answer. Okay, so they have joint sewer, so when it rains, it's potentially that it could back up your sanitary sewer. Okay, this development, these 6 houses, are gonna have separate storm sewer from sanitary, so we won't see that. And with the current engineering standards, we develop a detention basin, and we show that in the north end of the site. So when it rains, the detention, all the impervious surface, people who said, okay, we're paving the road, we're just paving our road, we're not paving any of the other roads. Any of the impervious surfaces, the driveways, the road, the houses, it all drains and goes into our detention basin where it's detained, and then it's discharged at something similar to a historic rate. And in this case, we're discharging it at about 40% less than the historic rate. And the engineering standards require that any property, adjacent property, that historically takes flow has to continue to take flow once the development is done, but we're actually reducing it.
So do you know if the existing properties, any one of them or multiple properties, drain onto this property that we're speaking of?
Do any of theirs drain onto ours?
Yeah, you just said if historically there's drainage flowing over the property, you can't just say, I'm cutting it off. So do we know what the percent?
I don't believe there's anything flowing onto our property. If there is, we're going to continue to accept it.
Okay.
Is there any, would you?
And
There's
while
no streams
we're waiting
or-
for that
yeah.
answer, and there's a specific reason I'm asking the question is.
Okay, so the question is specifically, are there any of our adjacent neighbors that drain onto our property?
That's the first question.
Okay.
There's a minuscule
Name and
amount.
address.
Oh, name and address, yeah, sure. Matt Bush with Atwell, address 101 North Main, Ann Arbor. All right, so there is minuscule drainage coming into the wetland system and the water course on our site. One thing to note, that all of the drainage from the site through the water course goes to the north, away from all the residents to the south. So we do accept a little bit of drainage, but that's all taken care of, and goes to the north, and we detain all of our stormwater.
So, just so I understand and the residents understand, whatever water is coming onto your site is gonna flow through as it normally does tomorrow morning if it rains?
Correct.
And any of your water that's collected is gonna be held in the detention pond and released at specific rate that's determined by, the Oakland County Drain or whoever has jurisdiction. And I wanted to ask, is it contemplated that the water, I assume that each unit would have a basement, correct?
Yes.
So is it contemplated that all the water collected around the basement gets discharged into that same pond? Are there separate leads for that water so it ends up in the pond as well?
That's probably a building department question. In some municipalities, you tie your sumps right into the storm system. In other municipalities, you discharge it, surface discharge just away from your house. And quite frankly, I don't recall what it is in Bloomfield Township. Ultimately,
Our
does it go
Atwell
where-
engineer doesn't plan, when you designed I assume you had designed by cubic feet, right? Did you design for that system to collect sump water discharge as well, or you don't recall?
Well, the stormwater detention basins are designed for all surface drainage. As far as the sump discharge, whether it'll most likely be surface drainage into the existing water course in the rears. We could also take it to the storm sewer system, but.
Okay, so A, it could handle it because it's from the surface that's already calculated, and B, you're willing to make sure that there's a lead and that it ends up in the system if that were to happen?
Yeah, and that's pretty typical of most engineering practice.
Okay. I think that explains the water question, unless there was something more
Yeah, I
specific.
think the paving question, but I think Howard answered the paving question about what's gonna be paved.
Yeah, we're just paving our private road. We're not touching anything on any of the adjacent roads.
Well, we're talking specifically about paving?
Yes.
You're paving the road that feeds the 6 units that are proposed and no
Correct.
other paving?
Correct.
Okay.
Nor would we, we're paving on our property. We don't have the right to pave on anybody else's.
All right, I'll get on to the next question. There was talk about the previous ruling and the previous proposals that had come to this site, and what the differences were between those two proposals and why there are more lots being proposed. And also a related question would be about the access to Big Beaver Road with that house. As someone mentioned a recommendation about removing a house, that's not appropriate to the question, but previous rulings and numbers and how those relate to the ones now.
So I personally don't have any knowledge of the lawsuit, so I don't know if anybody, maybe Andrea, you could explain if the lawsuit
There was a
stipulated
lawsuit.
that there could only be 5 units, is what I heard.
There was a lawsuit in which you've heard this evening that was withheld, that the township prevailed in their denial of a lot split. What we have today is a application with a new owner for a site, for a PUD, essentially, a site condo option within our zoning ordinance. So it's a completely separate review. The requirements are very different than that of a lot split. So this is essentially an entirely new application being reviewed under the open space preservation. So this is not this is not an application for a lot split. This is an application for open space preservation in compliance with the provisions within our ordinance. In terms of whether or not the 5 lots was ever, I guess that would be something that we certainly could get a interpretation or a response from our attorney to see if there was a ruling that held it to 5 lots. But I'm not aware of there being a 5-lot criteria or ruling on this property.
The ruling was that the township had discretion.
That's
I can only tell you, obviously, I wasn't involved in that, but I did read everything because, for due diligence. It was, what the developer tried to do there is just come in with a lot split and said that the lot split was mandatory. There were no plans. I mean, it wasn't like, there was no open space preserved. It wasn't anything like that. Just like split the property into 8 lots, I think it was, or whatever the number was, because those complied with the zoning ordinance, and then they can go ahead and do what they wanted to, you know, build the units, tear down the trees, whatever it was, and that the township had no discretion to say no. And that's what the litigation was about. The township said no, based upon provisions of your lot split ordinance that you still have today. And the litigation was whether or not you had the authority to say no, I believe, because they were arguing that the lot split was done under the Michigan State Land Division Act, which is the state statute, and it was mandatory for you to approve it as presented. That was the litigation.
So,
And the court said you had discretion.
I understand
and, yeah.
that we're reviewing it under a completely different standard, but I just want it to be clear
Right.
for myself and for the residents. So, when the township said no and there was a lawsuit, was the outcome you just can't split the lots because you didn't follow the rules at the time? Or was there?
No, I think it was, the township denied the lot split for various reasons, including, I mean, like, you didn't have the facts that you have here, like preservation of trees or anything like that. And the argument in that case, at least the developer then argued, that you had no discretion to say no for whatever the reasons, character of the neighborhood, anything like that. And the court said that you had the discretion to, you know, under your ordinance, you have a lot split ordinance too, that under your lot split ordinance, you had the discretion to make a decision. You said no, and the court, I can't remember if they just, you know, they upheld your decision in that regard. Whatever the reasons were, that was within your discretion to make that decision.
Okay,
And
that's fine.
and so that's
The case is closed.
different case.
They made the decision that the lot split is not allowed, and the judge agreed. With regard to the entrance, I heard that the township denied or didn't recommend that any entrance be from Big Beaver. Do we have any knowledge of how that came about?
I can't say that the township directed the developer to locate or to design the layout the way it's being presented. Were there discussions about, I can't say, I don't recall that conversation where we ever said it has to come in off that road. So we review what's presented by the applicant. We do not design projects. We review what's being presented by the applicant, which is what's occurring currently.
So then for the applicant, you know, Mr. Fingerwood, did you ever consider Big Beaver? And if you did you rule it out for certain
We discussed it in
reasons?
early meetings, and I think Patty might have even been there at the time, I don't recall. And we just thought that that wasn't a good approach to developing these homes. We thought it'd be much better, more quaint to come in off of Manor. And I think it's the right way.
I don't know if that's.
And here's a, if I can, you know.
We need to maintain order if we're gonna have a meaningful discussion.
And if I can kind of address this, what we're proposing actually provides, we're gonna have an easement to keep over 50% in its natural state. If we kept it, and we're gonna propose this, and I don't want to do this. I'm saying if we had 3 lots there, and people build the mega mansions, and you see them next door, and you know there's some big houses, huge houses with multiple tennis courts. You can put pickleball courts. You can put swimming pools. You cut down more trees than what I'm proposing. If you look in our submission, we have our grading limits. You can see where we're grading. We're grading the right of way. We're grading into the, I think up to the setback line of the front setback of the house. We show exactly, we can't go in and they say, oh, you're gonna cut down more trees. No, we're not.
Okay.
As soon as we start development, we put a silt fence up and the township comes and they walk the silt fence with the plan and they make sure, they say, okay, you can grade on this side, you can't touch anything on that side. So we're not gonna be, we're gonna actually preserve more than what it could be if it was just 3 lots.
I understand, but we want to try to address specific
Yeah.
questions, because you could also say that if there was 3
Sorry,
mega
yeah.
mansions, there'd be 3 driveway cuts. I mean,
Mhm.
but we're not,
Yeah.
we don't want to go there
I
yet.
apologize.
We just want to answer the
Yeah.
questions so that we have as much information, but we want our residents to have as much information as well, not just us.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I have a
So-
quick question while we're on this topic. So, will the board be discussing this after we go through this? Or you want me to ask now?
Absolutely,
Okay, then I'll
100%.
withhold my question.
Okay, 100%.
One of the final questions that we really want to address here is the, sorry, I lost my place on here. Apologize.
Construction.
Yeah, I have this one. We've been talking about character of the community a lot tonight, and I think a lot of residents are wondering, how will that character be ensured in the neighborhood? There's talks about, HOAs and things like that. So how will that character that a lot of the residents seem to want to uphold, how will that be upheld in the hamlet? Home design, anything like that? I mean, if there's a neighborhood association or anything of
That's,
that matter.
I mean, just in my opinion, different features affect how I feel about the character of the neighborhood, or somebody lives there, or if I was gonna move in. I think that's subjective, but in addition to wanting to understand the questions and addressing them, we also are looking at the zoning of the property, because it is zone R3, correct?
Correct.
And whether we like it or whether we don't, we have to honor what the property is owned. I don't think it's been zoned anything else for the past 106 years or whatever I heard. And other things that I heard about, during construction, I mean, there's been construction projects on single homes, and you probably know every one of them, that have lasted for 3 to 5 years, just a single home. And as far as erosion is concerned, I mean, when I'm a contractor, and if I have 6 ounces of erosion, I get a phone call or a knock on the door saying, you better fix this or do that, or you're gonna be fined, or we're gonna do it and back charge you. And there are stringent requirements for maintaining things that you say you're gonna do. And again, paving of the road was answered. We talked about the lawsuit, the water. Did you say that was the last predominant question, or are there more?
From what I collected, listening to that, I think those were very primary concerns. I know there are also ones about traffic and safety, but I know that is the discussion of the board, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for your comments. I'd like to open up the discussion.
There was one other question that came up like 3 or 4 times. If it had to do with the off-site water main, and there was a concern that we're ripping up the roads and open
Right,
cutting.
and you stated that you're doing a directional bore so that you won't have to rip up the road at all.
Exactly, so I just wanted.
And that's the full entire length. I don't know where the
Yeah,
connection
1,500
is. You
feet.
mentioned it before at the intersection of Brook.
Brookdale, yeah.
So it's gonna be bored all the way to the bore pit where the pipe comes out is gonna be on your property,
Yeah,
correct?
there'll be 2 bore pits, one on each side, one will be in a
Right.
right-of-way, one will be on our
And
property.
in between, you won't know that,
Right.
okay.
I mean, they'll be installing the fire hydrants.
So
but there
I'd
was
like
concern
I'd like
from
to
the
open it
neighbors.
up for discussion with this board. So if anybody, if you want to start.
I have a quick
because you had
question. So, this might be for Andrea, but are there other situations in the township where a site condo, development like this has been done where an HOA is already established, like a neighborhood? I know that Sacred Heart sold that land.
Yeah.
Are there other situations where it's been kind of acquired as part of a current neighborhood with a homeowners association already intact?
Not the 2 examples that I'm the most familiar with, which is the Brookdale project that was down by the Booth School off Wing Lake. That was not, and then, as you mentioned, Legacy Hills. Those are the 2 open space preservation developments that have, as far as I'm concerned or aware of, I think maybe only the other 2 that have been developed under this provision. I don't recall any, I'm not aware of any, I shouldn't say I don't recall, I'm not aware of any prior to Sacred Heart of being under the open space preservation. So the 2 that I know, I'd say
But
no.
already part of a neighborhood.
Those two examples were not.
Okay, right. That's my question.
Mr. Barnett? I'm still waiting to listen.
Excuse me, there's another site plan meeting. How does that work? Do we still keep talking about this, or does the other one get postponed? I'm just curious.
We're going to continue with our business, and we'll take the agenda as it comes.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, I have conflicting thoughts. You know, property rights is very important to the discernment of what we do. And I think the developer's done a fairly heady job with the unique application of the open space that the township provides. And I'm persuaded that they put a lot of effort into making that work with this Rubik's Cube. However, if there was ever an instance where the character of the surrounding was so persuasive and pervasive, I think it's here. I think it's a hard climb for me to be persuaded that the right of the development supersedes what the character of the environment is. That's where I'm stuck. I don't see anything, I mean, you know, the utility discharges and the connectivity, all of these have engineering data that are readily verified and have oversight, and we have engineering departments and engineers and everybody involved. I know people think that contractors show up and do whatever they want. No, we don't. We follow more rules than you follow in the daily life. And the vast majority of us are trying to be good and do good and operate properly. And of course, there's a lot of oversight for that. But you know, I know this area. I've remodeled homes in this area, and it is unique. And it's hard to think that this is in concert with the theme that has existed there for a long time. And that's not a criticism of the developer's work, which I think has been fairly and equitably done with the machinations of the setbacks and the preservation area and the open space and all that. But I just think that there's a unique character to this area.
I would concur.
I know this area really well. I'm familiar with everything that's gone on there, including previous proposals. Not that it's relevant, it really is not relevant, but I'm just familiar with it. It is a beautiful area. It's one of the prettiest areas in the township. And certainly the developer has his property rights and his, he knows what the proposals were that were presented to him as far as his options. It is a very difficult decision because on one hand, the developer has done everything that he needs to do with that property. The Open Space Preservation Act has provided, 50% of protecting the properties and the surrounding character of the property. But I am concerned about how it doesn't protect the character of the neighborhood. No fault of his, it's just that if they're going to be 6 lots, it's going to change. If they're going to be 3 lots, obviously it has less of an impact or very little impact at all on the neighborhood. So, yeah, I'm having a difficult time because of it's such a beautiful area and it has its own character that is very unlike many others, in the whole community.
I think it's a wonderful development and a great concept, but I'm not so convinced that it's compatible, like you just said.
And we interact
So-
with folks all the time about pieces of property that have laid fallow, that people have made their own park. It's not your own park, it's somebody else's property. So that's a delicate balance for people to understand. We just went through that on Telegraph, and we're going through it in another area, and it happens, often, and the property rights of the individual to develop it, weigh heavy and are usually preeminent, just like they would be for you to build your home. But I'm persuaded that it's just not right for this community, and that's where I'm going to stand.
Let's take a vote, Richie.
Well, we have to have a motion to take a vote, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we deny.
Recommend.
Recommend deny.
Yeah, can I speak, Chair?
Sure.
Please.
Just to clarify to the members of the audience that the Planning Commission's a recommending body. They have a recommendation that would be forwarded on to the Township Board, so it's not a final determination that they can make this evening. So I just want to make that clear. Sorry.
Would it be out of order if we answer a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out of order. No.
It's kind of late because there's a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call for motion.
Could
Did
you
you
repeat
want,
the
did you
motion,
want to
please?
say something now?
No, not yet.
Could you repeat the
Yeah.
motion, please?
Pardon me?
To deny the
The motion
petition.
is to deny.
To deny,
To deny.
recommend to deny, okay.
And there's a second.
Could I recommend that there would be a reason stated? What, or reasons stated for your recommendation for denial?
I think the reason,
Not harmonious?
right, exactly as my colleague pointed out.
We can amend the motion to say that we recommend denying the applicant's
Based on the
proposal based
current,
on,
the current proposal.
we find that the proposal is not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood.
Support.
Are you calling the roll?
She's taking.
Who made the motion, though? Because it sounded like
He
you
made
did.
the
Okay, and
motion.
you made a friendly amendment, and
Yeah.
do you accept his friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, and then you seconded, okay. Roll call. So this would be a vote to recommend denial. Kelly? If you say yes, it's supporting them.
Yes, I support them.
Thank you. Selick?
Yes.
Atto?
No.
Barnett?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
So motion carries 4-1. So the recommendation will be forwarded on to the Township Board for a recommendation for denial.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good luck.
We have another case in front of us.
We do have another case, yes.
It's site plan for Mulberry Square condominiums.
Yeah, if you guys could go out in the hallway, that would be great, because we have another hearing. Thank you.
And,
Yeah, no, you're good.
Short and sweet.
I think they were just waiting for.
Short and sweet.
Somebody to stand up.
Maybe he'll come back with less one, so if you want to do.
All righty then. Is the other party still here? I think he left.
No, it's
No.
just
Oh,
one
they're here?
person.
Oh, okay.
Right, he'll sell them tomorrow, of course. There's 3 driveway cuts, no retention pond.
I agree, but
I think it was to build 3 that he's going to use.
I don't know.
I'd rather have, like Neil said, should have bought it.
The contention, yeah, right.
This one we're going to, and so on, or something better.
I agree.
There we go.
And that's what we did last time, actually.
So we have the Mulberry condominiums is to be presented by Mr. Fox as our new deputy.
Our new deputy director, this is his first presentation to the planning commission, so
But he did such a good job this afternoon with the design review
he
board.
did a great job, and he is doing a great job as deputy director, so take it over, Mr. Fox.
All right, good evening. I'm here to talk about the proposal for site plan review for constructing additional carports and redoing the parking lots and the storm management system for Mulberry Square. Proposed project is including demolition of all the existing carports and a bunch of the landscaped areas in that area along those properties to accommodate additional carports and the reconstruction of the parking lot. The parking lot is basically the exact same as it was before, with the addition of some underground stormwater detention and a new storm sewer system put in place to mitigate the site. Proposed parking lot renovation is going to be it's going to be a new curb and gutter parking lot with all restriped. The existing spaces are already less than the required by our ordinance due to the existing nature of the property, so they won't be changing. I think the only problem they have is the depth is not 20 feet, it's less, it's 17 feet. They have an existing concrete wall all the way around the property that they intend to maintain as part of their screening for the new carports, and there's areas of landscaping that they're going to be removing around the perimeter of the parking lot, which has some fencing behind it. I have some photos of that here. Some of these areas right in the middle. These areas are going to be removed, and the parking lot extended through those areas, and carports to be extended over them as well. The area at the very, I guess it would be the west end of this property, or the small end of this property, there is a carport there existing. As you can see in this picture here, there's a carport here. That will be removed as the underground detention is going to go in that location. So they're not going to build a structure over top of the existing, or over top of the new underground basin. But they will be filling in these voids along the south side of the property, or along the road side of the property here, and making them solid at both actually the east and the west side of the property. It's crooked on the plan, but they will be putting in some addition. There'll be a couple of trees that have to be removed. I think it's 3 or 4 trees that are along the roadway here that will be in interference with the new retaining wall, or the new wall that they're going to put back up to screen the carports. But they are presenting to plant all these additional plantings along the outside of that wall to help screen that from view along the Mulberry Road. The carport design they're proposing is just a sloped roof, a shed roof style. A little different than what they have existing. They have the style with the returns on both ends of it. They're just going to go with a little more simple design. This works better for the long distances that they're intending to run them consistently down the sides of the property. Both police and fire have looked at this, and they both don't have any issues with it. It's not going to impede any of the traffic flows as they have it already. They're not intending to cut any new openings or change any of the access points or anything of that nature. If anything, the north end will help increase the flow by removing that carport that's up there. make it a little easier to get around that sharp point at the end, especially with fire trucks and things of that nature. They will be required to go to zoning board for the issues that they have with the parking spaces and all the accessory structures. Even though they're existing, they're all replacing them all, so they're gonna have to go for zoning for that.
Because they're accessory structures.
Right, because they're accessory. So I believe everything else is good on that. Sorry, bear with me a second. Yeah, we're hoping to consider site plan approval for replacement of the drive and the new carports compliant with zoning board approval and with all the township ordinances and requirements.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
So I want to clarify that there's gaps in the walls now, the existing masonry wall.
Yes.
They're going to remove that landscaping so the wall will be continuous, so it'll be in alignment with the new carports, which are much
Correct.
nicer than the existing ones.
Yeah, they have the raised landscape beds there, as you can see in the pictures here, and on top, behind that, they have a fence because there was because of the raised grade, they didn't run the wall continuously along there. So now they're gonna remove all that, pave that, and put that wall in to fill in the gaps.
Infill the wall, they're not replacing, they're just going to infill.
Correct, they're
the
just gonna
gaps.
infill the areas where the wall is missing now.
Okay, is the applicant here so we can hear from the applicant as well?
So excited for our facelift here.
We're excited to get rid of those ugly carports.
I know, I am too.
Everybody's excited here.
And we need roads. Oh my goodness. Hello, I'm Amy. I'm the president of Mulberry Square Association, and I also am a general contractor too, so I'm familiar with all this fun stuff. The underground system is totally something I don't know a lot about. I've learned a lot about in this the whole thing. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to answer everything.
No, it looks great, and it's certainly an improvement. I'm glad to see also enhancing the landscaping, the way that you're doing that. It will certainly, the entire site will be more user-friendly and more attractive.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful once we're done. We're incorporating a lot of new lighting, it's gonna be beautiful, yeah.
So is there anything that you want to add, or Chris did such a great
I
job?
think you did such an amazing job. Good job, look at you. No.
Is there actually lighting in the carports?
There
or-
is, there's lighting in the carports and there's lighting on the exterior. If there's lighting on them currently, we're gonna replace it with LEDs, or not LEDs.
Repair and replace. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a repair and replace of lighting where it's existing located.
Yeah, but all the lights outside the buildings are getting replaced.
So is there, does this have to go to the board, or just?
It's a site plan, so they're gonna go to the ZBA for their carports and for their existing non-conforming parking spaces, and then township board, because it's a site plan.
So we have a public hearing for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Unless you guys just wanna approve everything now and
No.
proceed on that.
Public hearing.
After the
We
public
can't.
hearing, we can consider.
I love it, let's do it.
So if there's nothing to add, we'll open it up to the public to see if there's any comments from the public on this matter. Thank you.
I don't know.
Step up to the podium.
Is anyone who
If you'd
wants
like to
speak,
step
just-
up
yeah,
and
step
let us
up.
know your name and address and make your comments.
Of course. So my name is Dr. Olga Gagnon of 2471 Mulberry Square, and we believe that there's still significant unanswered questions surrounding the proposed Mulberry Square Road project. Not about whether our roads need improvement, but whether this $40,000 per home plan is necessary, justified, transparent, and safe. For 80 families, this is not a minor expense. Yet the proposed $40,000 assessment has never been formally communicated to homeowners. It was only verbally presented in a design review board recording that a resident happened to discover. For a $175,000 condo, that assessment represents roughly 23% of the home's value. Despite the size of this obligation, residents have struggled to get basic information. Questions have repeatedly been deferred to an annual meeting that has not occurred or even been announced that it was scheduled, while published board minutes have contained surprisingly little discussion of a project supposedly years in the making. That lack of transparency is deeply disheartening, especially as we watch our neighborhood change. From 1989 through 2022, Mulberry Square averaged just one sale or listing attempt per year. Since 2022, more than a quarter of our entire community has been listed or sold. For the last 2 years, that represents a nearly 9% annual turnover rate, roughly 7 times our historical rate during a period when national homeowner turnover was only about 3%, a 30-year low. We cannot say why every family moved, but this timing and magnitude of this change deserves attention in coordination with the road project starting in 2022. We also believe that the cost deserves scrutiny. We recognize that the roads need improvement, but that there may be less expensive ways to accomplish what is actually required. We ask the township to have the HOA clearly document what work is required versus discretionary, how the $40,000 figure was calculated, and what alternatives were considered, and how this project compares to similar communities. We also ask the township to confirm that all required HOA notices, votes, and approvals have properly been followed. Then there's the question of what happens during construction. The swim club has stated that our parking access could be removed at its discretion, yet there is no backup parking plan. Construction would effectively be limited to the fall because the swim club does not allow parking during the spring and summer for its own residents, while Michigan winters limit road work. School buses may have to make the difficult U-turn on our busy Square Lake road turn off I-75 where cars are going 70 miles an hour or faster, which is very hard for a school bus to do. And children and elderly residents may have to navigate temporary uneven walkways through an active construction zone simply to get home. These are not inconveniences. They're foreseeable risks involving children, seniors, school transportation, emergency access, and residents' basic ability to safely reach their homes. Before construction begins, there needs to be a concrete, enforceable plan for these issues. We're not asking the township to deny all of the road project. We're asking to make sure that progress is done right. If these roads need to be rebuilt, let's rebuild them. But before 80 families are asked to pay $40,000 each, we deserve to know exactly what we are paying for, whether there's a better way to accomplish it, and whether the proper process has been followed, and whether our families can remain safe while it happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was 3 minutes exactly.
May I wasn't prepared for this, but just in rebuttal.
Your name, sir.
My name is Dan Stevens. I'm on the board with Amy and some of the other board members. The road project has been in this process for 10 years. And everyone that's been in the complex for that length of time or within the last 5, 6, 8 years, they're all been aware that this project is going forward. And every annual meeting, and this young lady was at the last annual meeting, we did, Amy, the president, I'm the vice president, we did present to the community a list of expenses. It wasn't the exact amount, but it was a rough idea of what this would cost. It was nothing even close to $40,000 a unit. It is going to be anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 per unit. So I don't know where the $40,000 has come from, but I don't have any idea. We do have our annual meeting coming up beginning of September. We finally have gotten everything. We've gotten all the proposals together, all the contracts together, which Amy and Andrea have been working diligently on. And so I just wanted to let everyone know it's not $40,000. And we have gone through hoops after hoops after hoops and proposal after proposal and followed the guidelines that we have to follow with the township and the community to make sure that we're doing everything correct. So.
Thank you. Anybody else have any public comment to make? Oh, I see, okay.
Chris Gagnon, 6529 Cathedral Drive. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of family members who reside in Mulberry Square. During the Design Review Board meeting, disclosure of the estimated $40,000 assessment per unit caused one trustee to audibly whistle in surprise. With average Mulberry home values around $175,000, that represents nearly 23% of the value of an average home. To put that in perspective, Bloomfield Village recently debated road special assessment districts estimated at roughly $40,000 to $60,000 per home. Yet those homes averaged $1 to $1.5 million in value. Applying the same proportional burden as Mulberry Square to those homes would have equated to an assessment of roughly $300,000 per home. Those projects barely passed and generated significant public debate despite representing a much smaller percentage of homeowners' equity. The numbers become even more striking when comparable by project size. Mulberry Square has roughly 80 condominiums and just 0.4 miles of roadway, resulting in an estimated cost of about $1,500 per linear foot. By comparison, 3 recent Bloomfield Township road SAD projects, 426, 430, and 431, covered roughly 2.5 to 3 miles of roadway at approximately $200 to $580 per linear foot. While I recognize these are not identical projects and each has unique engineering requirements, a cost that appears 3 to 8 times higher than recent township roadway projects deserves careful scrutiny to ensure the proposed scope is necessary and the costs are justified. That concern is heightened by questions surrounding the HOA's bid process. I would ask the applicant to clarify if there are any known employment relationships that inherently present the risk for conflicts of interest between members of the association and current or prospective vendors. Residents reasonably want assurance that any potential conflicts were fully disclosed, appropriate recusals occurred and were documented consistently, and the bidding process was transparent and competitive. All of these concerns have been amplified by at least one prior community project that exceeded original cost estimates, resulting in additional special assessments while work remains unfinished. I recognize that this commission is not responsible for overseeing HOA governance or financing decisions. However, when a proposed site plan carries financial consequences approaching 1/4 of the value of an average home, I believe that extraordinary burden warrants extraordinary scrutiny. The staff report notes that public health, safety, and welfare should be protected. Therefore, the economic welfare and housing stability of existing residents are also relevant considerations when the commission is evaluating a project of this magnitude. We trust the commission will exercise appropriate due diligence before recommending a project with such significant financial consequences for dozens of families. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else, or should, okay. If we could possibly direct the comments to the actual site plan, because some of these matters that have to do with the governance of the homeowner associations are really not relevant.
Hopefully this does.
Name?
Maureen Sylvie, 2471 Mulberry, number 12.
Thank you.
I'm on the board. My main issue is that half of this cost is because the township is requiring this 100-year storm, giant water retention.
Unfortunately, it's
It's
not
not
the
us.
township.
Yeah,
it's
that's
Oakland
Oakland
County
County.
Drain
That's
Commission.
Oakland County Drain Commission to
Okay.
bring things up to current standard, not
We
a
we
township.
face
Okay.
it, we face it all the time ourselves as a contractor. John faces.
Yeah, and I just want, I mean, that's the hardest part, is it's half, at least half of what, 2 million out of, I know we're not supposed to talk money, but it is a huge part of this small community's financial burden on this, on just trying to get new roads and carports for something.
So perhaps,
I mean,
again,
is there any,
we're looking at the site plan, so perhaps maybe members could go petition the Oakland County Road
Commission.
Water Department and say, look, this
It's
is
such a
unfair or
small
whatever, but
community.
we just have to
Yeah.
look at, is this improvement
Yeah.
fit within our ordinance?
Yeah.
It does, but it requires a variance because of some pre-existing conditions. So when there's pre-existing conditions that are non-conforming, we have to revisit the zoning. Our recommendation will, and again, it is a recommendation,
Yeah.
that's all it's gonna be.
Yes.
But it'll be conditioned upon the ZBA approval.
right,
But unfortunately, we suffer the same issues with every development. Even when they're existing, it used to be where if it was existing, they might give you a partial waiver, but now they want it everywhere.
yeah, you can't, it's like plead, you just want to plead. We're just almost under the requirement as far as the
Area.
property.
Okay, so we're gonna close the public hearing, and I'm gonna ask the members, my co-members, if we have any comments or questions.
Oh, did you have that?
Oh, no.
Okay. I thought the presentation meets our criteria as far as from the homeowners association, and that's what's before us, not what the supposed cost overruns are, not anything about the financials. That's not our jurisdiction, and that's not what we're here for. Any issues with the homeowners associations between the homeowners and the homeowners association. The only thing before us has to do with the carports and the landscaping, and if we approve it, conditional to the ZBA. Anything else, I think, is irrelevant.
Any comments?
I agree.
I mean, I did hear one comment that there has to be some kind of a plan for parking when to either do it in phases or whatever. So if there's a motion, maybe we could include that in the motion, because you can't just tear up all the parking and have 80 people have to park in the street or create an unsafe condition. So if you haven't created a plan yet.
We're working with the tennis court.
Okay.
So we'll just, we may, whoever makes the motion may ask for that as a condition.
Okay.
That's all.
Just a clarification, you said there's no new lighting, you're just replacing existing lighting, is that right?
Correct, that is correct.
How many seasons is this supposed to take place over? One season? Okay, so one season.
I bet you got a month underground. I think they were hoping to have, if you got approved, you'd be able to try to get asphalt down, at least base asphalt down this year yet. That's what they're hoping, but it's getting pretty late.
Carports can go all winter long. The guys have built out fires.
Getting the pipe is very difficult right now.
Yep.
Pipe's not a problem. Pipe. I got the stuff.
He's got pipe.
Just,
nobody's
it's a
got
big
pipe.
system.
He got pipe.
Got too much talking here. Okay, I'm ready to make a motion unless there's further discussion.
Ready.
Okay.
Jump on it.
Make a motion that we approve the carport proposal, the landscaping plan, what was presented to us, subject to it being done in a phase 1 and a phase 2, and also subject to review by the zoning board of appeals and approval of any variance or parking issues.
Second.
Support.
Support.
Okay, we got a vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Any opposed?
You're not opposed?
Well, he's got his hand.
Oh.
What's the next?
So-
Next on the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
She's over here, like.
Oh, pickleball.
I have discussion.
All right, so next up is what?
We have some general business to discuss, and the next item to discuss.
We're going to pickleball discussion.
Pickleball discussion.
Outside.
Griffin's going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty late, so if you guys want to hear it, we.
Yes, part of the.
You worked on it.
All
We
right.
did work on it. and
Come
this is
on,
last
Griffin,
week.
this is your last week, we want to hear it.
Getting a little tired.
This week
No.
is leaving.
Yeah.
We always have time for
He's-
this.
Well, it'll be a thrilling
Northern
pickleball
Michigan.
presentation. that we'll
Do
get
we have
started.
notes in here on that? You don't have.
No,
You got a
it's just
voice for radio.
Really?
Very good voice.
And you handled things really well with the homeowners. I gotta tell
Excellent.
ya. Very
I was
impressed.
going to say the same thing.
Kudos.
Excellent.
Very
Whoever
impressed.
came up with this idea about collecting comments is an excellent idea because it reinforces that they're being heard.
Right.
Very good job.
I actually think it was Mr. Saltz that started that.
And we started it in the June planning commission meeting. I think we all remember that one.
But you asked the questions really well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The goal is ultimately to be an operating body for the residents and the developer. Yeah, so I think it was great.
We'll wait till you see his presentation.
Oh,
Okay.
it's real fantastic. Heard I've got a facer radio too.
Just to get information. Oh. So what as the board is probably aware, there's a moratorium that's been placed on pickleball. And what I had Griffin do as our intern is did some research kind of nationally in terms of sort of what's happening, because as you will find out, obviously Bloomfield Township is not the only community that's wrestling with this. So he did a great presentation, and the purpose of tonight is just to take the information. We are going to be working on presenting this to the various boards and getting feedback as we're looking to think about an ordinance amendment or creating an ordinance that works within Bloomfield Township. Currently, all pickleball courts need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The zoning board has seen an increase, as well as there's also been an increase in concern in terms of the sound, in terms of the impervious surface and things like that. So Griffin did some research, and he has a presentation to kind of share what's happening across the country and maybe thinking about some things that we may want to consider within our own township.
If I could just say one thing, I know
So
there's a
can-
there's a moratorium on pickleball applications, but that does not impact the ones that have already been presented or are in process.
That is correct. We stopped accepting new applications for pickleball after the moratorium. So we have a stop, and part of anytime you have a moratorium on an activity within the township, you should actively be demonstrating that you're working towards a resolution. We can't just keep continuing and perpetuating a moratorium. So part of the moratorium is to take time to step back, do your research, get input, and start thinking about drafting an ordinance. So this is kind of the first step.
Okay, thank you.
So could we enjoy some baked goods that are in the kitchen while you're making the presentation?
Go on ahead.
I brought some for the
I'm gonna
members
take
to
mine
try.
afterwards.
Oh.
Try it.
You
Okay.
still get to take one home.
Okay, I guess, are you gonna go get them?
I want one now.
You can just walk in there and grab one and,
All right, good, we're
officer,
settling
would you
in
like to have?
for a thrilling night of pickleball presenting. I've got to gauge how this mic works. I've been kind of really soft playing it all day. Really, because I'm in marching band, I'm a really loud person, so I got to be careful. I don't want to peak the mic or anything, but it takes getting used to.
It's an hour presentation, just so you guys know.
This is an hour?
It's 2 hours.
You have the time, Lieutenant?
Very thorough. They're eating.
Yeah, I'll do my best to get through some of the more text-heavy sections very quickly. So.
Okay. They can hear you. Well, we're here. We're
Well,
all-
yeah.
we're
If you
very
want,
attentive.
if you want me to begin, I'm more happy to. So.
You're missing
I can
some
hear
good
you.
baked goods.
Speak loudly.
All right. Well, we'll get started then. I don't
Want
think
some
it's
baked
too big
goods?
an issue.
Can you imagine Patty? No.
Okay,
All right. Yeah, I think Andrew kind of prefaced it pretty well. Currently, with the moratorium in the township, we're looking for solutions basically elsewhere. What are other people doing? What's going on? And maybe a little education about pickleball itself, since it's kind of a weird, I don't want to say fad, but honestly, it's kind of like a fad. It seems to come and go, and I think there's some greatly needed context. So I think the most important thing that I think everyone's going to hear a complaint about when you talk about pickleball is the sound, the popping sound, which we'll get to in a bit. Sound aspects. So according to Bob Unitic, a retired engineer and Carnegie Mellon University professor, and the founder of Pickleball Sound Mitigation LLC, when the ball and paddle connect, the sound can be heard at 70 decibels 100 feet away from the court. For reference, when you're playing tennis, that's about 40 decibels. So there is a distinct difference. When struck, a pickleball gives off a pitch frequency of 1.2 thousand hertz, which is roughly the same frequency as a garbage truck backing up, that beeping. Now, it's not the same sound, but in terms of the frequency, when you measure those sound waves, it's the same frequency as that garbage truck backing up. So a little bit of a shrill. With 70 decibels as a sound comparison, imagine when you're late for work at 7 in the morning on Telegraph and you're kind of pushing it a little bit at 60 inside of your car, that sound, if you had the radio off, that's kind of the sound level, a comparison. Maybe you need to turn the radio a little louder when you're driving a little faster on I-75 or anywhere like that. So that's kind of the sound comparison. Now, a disclaimer with this one. I understand that a new sound study has been done, so this is a little old, but I still think it's valuable to kind of understand a context within Bloomfield Township that sound studies are being used for pickleball. So I would say don't follow this religiously because there are a few numbers that are old, considering that I think Birmingham Country Club has requested a new sound study. This was based on the sound study back in around June. So this numbers still speak. So according to the sound study at BCC, the ambient level, just standing out on the golf course, in that area, not on the golf course, probably around the tennis courts, about 45 to 42 decibels. It's an ambient, sitting outside, the wind's blowing, whatever. Tennis ball impact, approximately 165 feet away, was 53 decibels. That's what it was measured at. So slightly louder than an ambient, everyday outside noise. Pickleball impact at 65 feet to simulate one of the nearest neighbors was at 63 decibels, which is in line with the previous kind of noise comparison. Pickleball impact at 200 feet only fell off by around 10 decibels. So in terms of that frequency, that just carries. It carries, and I think that's where the issues are popping up, is that, you have a neighbor right here, and they're hearing it pretty loud. But the neighbor 3 houses down is still hearing it at a considerable level. And I think that's why the number of complaints kind of rises when it comes to pickleball. Studies done by neighbors, the neighbors also submitted a sound study, and they measured at certain points in their yard the decibels hitting around 70. So give or take, when you're near those pickleball courts, that's around 60 to 70 decibels, which, again, going back to that ambient sound in your car, you're turning up the radio a little more, maybe talking a little louder, just because of the sound that's in there. And it's not just us. Let's see if I'm going to try to work with these links. We're going to see how this goes. I apologize for any obnoxious ads or anything that may pop up, but I'm going to try to get this loaded up. Oh, good, I can look at it before it starts. So I'm just going to wait for this ad to skip, and then I'm actually glad the presentation hides it. Okay. I'm going to do a little sound check here as well. Bear with me. Okay, there is sound. Great. Okay, sorry. I wanted to blow all our ears off when we turn it on. All right, I'm going to exit the... Never been a huge fan of PowerPoint, I'll be honest. All right, and the slideshow there. Go here. All right, here we go.
Court of Law. The mayor of Mission Woods has filed a lawsuit now
This is in
against
Kansas.
Mission Hills Country Club.
Yeah, he wants to stop the sound of pickleball matches near his home, claiming the constant pop is a nuisance. KCTV5's Emily Ritter takes a closer look at the case.
According to a petition filed in court, the couple says their normally quiet neighborhood changed when the country club converted tennis courts into pickleball courts less than 200 feet from their home. They say they can hear pickleball being played inside and outside of their house. Mission Woods Mayor Darrell Franklin and his wife filed the petition asking the court for a temporary and permanent injunction to prevent the playing of pickleball at converted courts, to prevent the building of new courts, and prohibit the playing of pickleball within 600 feet of their bordering property line. The couple told the court pickleball play creates a much louder sound than tennis, noting pickleball is played with hard paddles and a hard plastic ball. Their petition said pickleball, quote, typically creates a sound in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 hertz, which is near the most sensitive frequency range of human hearing, end quote. An attorney representing the Mission Hills Country Club provided KCTV5 News a copy of a letter that was sent to the Mission Hills Country Club members. The letter informed members of the lawsuit. It also stated the club has had one of its 2 lower courts converted exclusively to pickleball courts beginning in 2017. The letter listed several efforts to lessen the impact of pickleball prior to the lawsuit being filed, including the installation of an acoustic barrier to block direct sound, limiting pickleball play to the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., and reinforcing club rules related to decorum near the converted courts. The couple's petition stated the persistent and annoying popping sound of pickleball is often accompanied by loud music, excessive drinking of alcohol, and a party atmosphere, which made it difficult to relax, concentrate, or sleep soundly, which could cause stress, fatigue, and anxiety. The petition also asks that the couple be awarded damages. KCTV5 News contacted Mayor Franklin to request an interview, but so far we have not heard back. Reporting from Johnson County, Emily.
So that's more of the kind of what people are really getting fired up about this. I mean, lawsuits already starting. That's the fact that it was the mayor was actually the most shocking part to me when I learned about this one. The mayor was going after it. And I know we all really want to hear the noise, so I think this next one has a great example of what pickleballs sound like.
Noise complaints, usually the result of loud music, fireworks, ATVs, parties, you know, a bunch of stuff. But pickleball? It's nowhere on that list, you'd think. One Philly neighborhood. Here's our Chris O'Connell.
The wildly popular recreational sport may be a victim of its own success. Some here in Chestnut Hill say pickleball has become a neighborhood nuisance.
I wake up, I hear it. I walk down the steps, I hear it. Open the back door to let the dog out, you hear it.
One of the hottest recreational sports in the country right now happens to be one of the loudest.
Like a pop, 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 and it feels like it's right in our house.
Just ask the residents of the 8100 block of Ardley Street in Chestnut Hill. Their homes sit just feet away from the pickleball courts at the Water Tower Recreational Center run by the city. Since the pandemic, the courts have become a popular place.
It appeals to a wide range of people. There's people playing with knee replacements, hip replacements.
It's hard to deny the popularity of pickleball. Men, women, young and old have taken up the game, but also players admit
it's hard, I get it. At the same time, that's what recreation's supposed to be for, so try and find somewhere in the middle.
I think there's some validity to it. I mean, it is noisier than tennis. And I think the dialogue between the players and the residents is important.
The noise issue was at the center of a packed public meeting, some residents demanding changes. Some suggested softer balls and paddles and cutting the court's hours. Some just wanted shut down altogether.
You need to stop this immediately.
If not, they're planning a lawsuit against the city for breaking its own noise ordinance.
8, 9 months a year, you can't open your windows. You ever try and live someplace where you can't open your windows with the racket? That's how loud it is.
One possible solution, more courts.
Joe's
The
not
Parks
happy.
and Rec Department tells us that more pickleball courts could be planned for a rec center in Mount Airy in the coming months. In Chester.
So I think that was a good showcase of the noise there. We got one more video that'll help out with the noise. Kind of preface it. I will say for that one is in a public park. We don't have those, but still, I mean, the proximity I think tells a story. Oh, we're skipping the third clip. Yeah, Andrea's done.
Good cue.
Yeah, good job.
Those were really good, don't get me wrong.
No.
They
you're
were
fine.
good, they were good. But
I won't even play this one either. We'll just keep going. We'll get to the good part here. Basically, there needs to be a solution, and the opinions of the planning department. I think that any way to enforce noise, pickleball, it's going to become a nuisance, especially when you allow it to be built again. There's going to be complaints. I'm actually shocked that there haven't been more, considering I think Bloomfield is a very unique community that is sensitive to these things. So
Have they come up with different paddles and balls?
yeah, I'm about to get into it right now. So solution one that I found is foam paddles and balls. There's quieter play that can be played on any surface in any condition, and there's lower risk of external damage. Paddles flying, balls flying, who knows? But the con is, in my opinion, the material of the ball and the paddle substantially change the style of the game. So when you're coming to a board and you're saying, we're going to enforce how residents play this game in terms of quality and stuff like that, I think that would get a lot of pushback, and they're more expensive. And how do you enforce that? How do you go to someone's house or go to a country club and say, hey, you got the right paddles, you have the right this and that? So that's kind of where we measure it on that.
But it changes the game, like if you're gonna play ping pong and you're not using a ping pong ball, it's
Yeah.
not even ping pong anymore. It's-
Why? It could be the same size, it's just quieter, the racket's quieter.
No, it has different resistance.
Oh, does it?
Playing
Yeah,
tennis
it's
with a foam
versus
ball,
hard
yeah.
surface. The balls are foam.
I'm actually a
The
racket
paddles are
sports
foam.
player, so I've played tennis with foam balls before, and it's just lame. It's unenjoyable.
It's a whole different ball.
By the way, the enforcement's very easy. You ever been in a country club?
Well, we could talk about country
First thing they stop is
clubs.
smoking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's real easy.
Then you
Clothes
go
are
up to
nice.
someone's house and say, "Show me your pickleball paddles." I mean, none of these are impossible. I mean, these are all reasonable ideas. We're kind of just weighing both.
Okay.
But, all right, let's go to solution 2. Sound blocking materials on fences. The pros to this, they reduce noise, it acts as screening. It is dependent on the material though, and it shields courts from wind. I think that actually increases the quality of play and it helps with the courts themselves. Cons though is that it doesn't reduce all noise, it's very expensive, and the noise control is dependent on the quality and how much you're willing to put into the material. We have 2 examples here. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. Acoustablock pickleball tarp. Price estimate is about $100 per 50 square feet. It's kind of got more of like a rubbery vinyl kind of texture. And then you see on the right the Sound Seal acoustic curtains, about $115 per panel. So every
But
time
if we
that
did
fence
that at the
goes-
township, wouldn't the township want it to be screened with evergreens anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these are ideas that we could formulate everything together. These are ideas, everything we could pile on multiple conditions.
I'm not writing the amendment tonight, so
Yeah.
we've got time to look at all these things. It's kind of just a preliminary, an introduction to what to consider. Hours of play, there's another one. This is a common solution that has already been used in ZBA rulings for other sports courts. I remember when I first started here in May, we had a ice rink installed in a rear yard, and the stipulation from the ZBA is that it could only be used during daylight hours. A similar rule could be put in effect for pickleball courts like this. For clubs or other pickleball facilities, it actually helps them enforcing their scheduling. It throws it back to them that they don't have any obligation for night play or anything like that. I think it would actually help country clubs. Costs nothing to tell you to stop playing pickleball after dark. And I think it's easier enforcement as well. I think, in terms of if it's a noise issue, you can prove that someone was playing pickleball at night. If you have video, if you have sound, it's pretty hard to hide you playing a loud sport at night if someone's recording you or there's a neighbor. The cons though is that there's no noise reduction. It's still loud. There's got to be more enforcement. I think there will be more of a weight put on clubs that have pickleball courts. And it doesn't adhere to all the residents' lives and schedules. I mean, we have a lot of people who do a lot of different things in the township. They're not always available to relax during daylight hours. I mean, look, we're here right now, so.
Is our moratorium currently just for residential, or
Any pickleball.
what about indoor?
Well, indoor is okay, it's a totally different thing, because it doesn't have the same control issues.
So we have any complaints from ACE, or you can't really hear anything at all?
No, they're indoors, so they're.
Which one is that?
On Franklin, right where
In the office building.
right across the street from,
All right, so another one we got is court orientation. Basically, pointing the courts in a certain direction, especially away from houses when you're in that building process, can reduce noise. When you're hitting, let's say you got a house on the north end of a pickleball court, if you're playing east to west, there is less sound. Now, it's not like by some ridiculous, it's going to become silent, but there is a noise reduction. By all means, you are reducing noise by doing that. It doesn't cost more if you're just changing the orientation. Unless you have a very unique property in which you have to have it oriented in a way.
did your study give you a decibel amount with the reduction? Is it like a few?
Admittedly, it did not, so I'm not riding this one to the court on this one, so. There's reduced quality if you're mandating that courts have to be east-west in a sense away from houses, then, glare, stuff like that reduces the quality of play. Doesn't work for courts surrounded by homes. If you're surrounded by properties, it doesn't matter. Sound's gonna go everywhere, anywhere you place it. It also creates a lot of grandfathered sports courts. There'd be a lot of courts in the township that would be in that grandfathered status of historical noncompliance, which I know we're trying to avoid. Finally, we have pickle tile. This is actually, I think, was it, Andrew, you might have to refresh my memory on this, was BCC that was
This is the
getting the pickle
material that we're
tile.
looking
Yep. Reduces noise by 10 decibels, and that I do know. Went to their website, they confirmed that.
Are you saying we require this somewhere?
Tile. You haven't seen it yet. BCC's
They're working on it.
BAC has it.
It's high quality, there are no character issues involved with it. It looks good, it's durable, it's low maintenance. There's actually digital access, another help for clubs in terms of scheduling, helping them figure out all their things. Big one is it's expensive, very, very expensive. And I mean, for country clubs, that's probably all right, but if you're enforcing that on the average resident, it may get dicey. The locking system is through a third party. Installation is complex, even if it is through one contractor. Often it is not. And it's not a complete noise solution. It still needs assistance from evergreen screening, walls, or other things. And they even admit that on the website, that this is not a all-around noise solution. So, and it's so expensive that I can't find a quote for it anywhere. I'd have to literally put in all my information and get like a site plan for them even to like look at me. So that's how expensive it is. It's
So if we're sitting on the planning commission, we can't be an authorized distributor.
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what the solutions are. It's not easy. It's not just one clear cut. Let's just do this. I don't no one's going to make a decision like that. But these are just kind of the things we're bringing to light, like what's out there.
Oh, we appreciate it, but the only thing that, I mean, that I could see that makes sense, especially for residential's, limiting the hours is, that was number 3, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the other ordinances really quick?
Yeah. We'll do a very quick dive. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you might get a
Wait,
few millionaires.
Last
that'll put in
slide,
the
you
pickle
said
tile.
last thing.
Last thing as in last solution. We got some, I'll go quick, even though ordinance is really thrilling. I'll go really quick on this one. Basically, I might need Andrew to help me out here, just kind of speed read through this. But then this one from Sagaponack, New York, a very affluent community. Their courts are only permitted in certain districts. They also have setback requirements, so setback 60 feet from the nearest property line and sunken in at least 4 feet. That was a big one, because now you're having land kind of be that sound mitigation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That, we thought that was actually a good idea, the sunken idea. But then we got into the discussion about water table and what,
You gotta
you
deal
know.
with water.
Yeah, that's what we were,
So that was,
gonna be the comment.
that's what we talked about, yeah. But that was an interesting concept.
Where are you gonna take it? I mean, not everyone's gonna have a drain.
Yeah.
Yep. They also require attenuation walls, sound walls. So it's probably the strictest one in our little collection of ordinances here. Requires sinking it, setting it back, and putting a sound attenuation wall on there. They actually require a wall. They talk about conversion as well. I don't really think that's relevant. Zoning requirements, increased setbacks, kind of what we talked about. Winchester, Connecticut. This is more about public parks. So there were a few things I wanted to take in from here. Basically, it's talking about public property, and it enforces appropriate use, which I know there are people who complain about what's going on these courts, why are these, like the swearing. That was the big thing in the BCC one. There were people complaining about, they were hearing foul language, horrible this and that. And I mean, whether or not we choose to enforce that, up to the discretion.
It's a country
Yeah,
club.
yeah. So, but just to keep it in mind. And it addresses noise in a certain way, enforces conversion as well. There was a line in there about tape and converting your tennis courts to pickleball courts. We had to talk about that with Fox Hills. No reason there was a whole thing about taping over the tennis courts, making pickleball, whether or not that was allowed. So this one's about Texas. It's a long one. We don't have to go into it, but they kind of
They do
define.
talk about impervious surface, so that's
Yeah,
one to
they
take away
have
from
a
this
very
one.
good definition of impervious surface that we thought, Chris being a building guy.
Area.
Yeah. Yeah. The material.
Having a limit on the area is a good thing, too.
Oh, I think so. That's definitely a big push from the ZBA, is because they've been seeing the courts increase in size. So having a size requirement or a maximum size is definitely going to be, would be
This is for
incorporated.
applicants putting them in their backyard?
There's more. I don't think there's a ton on this page, so I can tell by the looks on some of your faces.
But we
You
can
wanna
share
look
it.
at
Actually,
the
you know, this PowerPoint is on the.
Yeah, we'll
packet, so
share
you
it.
guys
Yeah,
can
there's a
read
lot
through
of
the
good
ordinance.
videos.
Yeah.
But it expands the sports court definition, includes pickleball, defines sports courts, the amount you can have, that's a unique one. Setbacks for given districts, and that one, they have a unique way of calling out their residential districts. And it's not by a ton, but they actually have a slightly larger footage setback for a denser residential district, which I thought was unique.
R1 to R3.
Which is harder to do.
Yeah.
Evergreen height requirement, which we kind of already have. Color palette and aesthetics, appropriate use. And it threw a requirement on the building department. So I think we often come with so much weight on the planning department for so many decisions. And then with them, they actually put one of those onto the building department.
That's the easy department.
Yeah,
Why do you think Chris left the building department?
yeah. Just to get a break. This is a little statistic report. When I first started this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a good
Yeah.
narrative on this. It's random. I don't know why. I guess pickleball died in 2024 for a bit, and then it came back to life in 25. And then you can look at our moratorium, knocked it down. Which it's kind of unfortunate in the terms of data. If we didn't have that moratorium, it'd be cool to see. Would we be doubling pickleball? Where would it be going? But I also think it's good because we're not letting a possible issue run out of control. I think
But
we nipped it
again,
in the
these are
bud.
residential people making applications.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Backyard.
Their
Yep.
backyard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they want sports courts, but now sports court has to
Include
pickleball.
Include, so it's part of the thing. You know,
Yeah.
Birmingham's got a great example.
Okay.
On Southfield, there's a public park of tennis courts that they do pickle, and it has times. You gotta sign up and all that, but they only allow the pickle during certain times.
Which is,
Thank you.
again,
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes, support.
So moved.
Okay,
I'm not the chair.
not that we're in a hurry, Griffin, that was pretty good.
Griffin, great job.